You know what time it is.
Time to get a watch?
I've already got one.
Oh, good.
Actually, this one doesn't even work.
It's just for show.
Just for show. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another edition of the Weekly Narrative. This is your number one alt-centrist podcast on the entire interweb. And
number one. The only place you'll find it is here.
That's correct. The internet, if you're not aware, is just a series of tubes. We happen to just be the biggest show on it for alt-centrism. So welcome. Tonight we got a very, very interesting lineup of topics to talk about with you today.
Ooh.
A little redundant there because I said tonight and then today at the end, but I am aware of when I do things like that. So just so you guys know, we're going to be talking about New York Times suggests that you should stop critical thinking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you might,
I mean, I'm willing to hear them out if they got a good reason why I shouldn't critically think.
Oh, that was Holly on the stereo. Yeah, we tried stereo out, doing a multi-stream on stereo and YouTube, but stereo, the mic is so sensitive that it picks up me talking out of Delaney's mic. So
yeah, it was picking up me breathing.
We'll figure out a system for that because we might even just do a stereo only stream.
Yeah, that's what we were thinking about doing, like on a Thursday, doing a stereo only kind of feature. So you have to go to stereo to listen to us.
That's right. So we're gonna work that out as we. I've already the techno wizardry that I had to get set up just to even get to where we're at is I can't even. Unprecedented. Okay, I'll explain it to you guys if you're interested, but I'm not going to get into it right now because we got another article, fascinating article. About tonight is all about how you think and how people want you to think.
Okay.
Which is very relevant for our stream and our channel because we want to tell you how to think, not what to think.
But to think.
Yes. And then now we're going to see Forbes and New York Times. Forbes says you must not do your own research when it comes to science.
Oh, okay. Again, I'll hear them out what they have to say, but
yeah.
Seeming a little creepy there, but whatever.
It's getting a little weird. Yeah, we got an article from CBS News. John Kerry says Earth has 9 years to avert the worst consequences of the climate crisis.
Okay.
So, that we're just counting down from the 12. We were at 12 years a few years ago. Now we're at 9.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure that we're all aware we can still count.
We got that doomsday clock going. We got to make sure that it's on time.
Yep. And Coca-Cola is training their staff to be anti-racist.
Oh, good, because that's what we need.
We're going to take a look at some of the slides that they used internally to train their staff and see if it's effective in helping them sell sugary liquid products.
Yeah, because sugary products are totally racist.
That's right. We've talked a lot about education, and we talked a lot about absurd education programs like anti-racism. And now we're going to talk about who might be funding those programs. You might be surprised to find out. We'll leave it at a cliffhanger for you there.
Gotta keep listening.
It's not Mr. Soros.
Okay.
There's it's not just Mr. Soros. There's other people involved. And it may or may not surprise you depending on your stance. But most likely will not surprise you. And then we're going to be talking about, I promised you last week, we're not going to be all doom and gloom. We're going to talk a little bit about the future. We talk here about how, society is kind of breaking down and what the components of that are.
Yeah.
Namely cities and how modern life is structured around cities. And we're going to look at potentially an example of what the future might hold for cities. And if there's, we're looking at maybe the next evolution in cities.
Oh.
It's not in America.
Of course.
Because
never in America.
There's no innovation as far as cities go in America, but we will be examining one from Saudi Arabia.
Ooh.
And they got money.
Oh, yeah.
So they're going to do it right.
They wipe their butt with money. So.
That's exactly right. So grab a drink, folks. Strap in. Put your chin straps and helmets on. And gear ready. We got Steve and Holly in chat. What's going on, guys? Let's get into it.
Yeah, let's play that new intro song.
You know that sound means you're listening to another weekly narrative. This is episode 41.
41.
That's right.
Dang.
And yeah, well, hopefully we're going to get this stereo stuff figured out. For those who may be just joining, we were trying to do a multi-stream on stereo, but there was some audio crossover issues. The Delaney's mic was picking me up and stuff like that. So
yeah,
we'll get that.
My mic was too sensitive.
We will continue to troubleshoot and, because we want to be on the latest cutting edge. We don't get stagnant here. We want to always be moving forward in technology and ideas.
Hell yeah.
Speaking of ideas, some people don't feel the same way about that. Some people want you to stop thinking for yourself.
Well, of course.
And one of those might be, unsurprisingly anyway, the New York Times.
Oh, yeah.
And now I have to open this in a private window because, let's see, copy link URL. Because New York Times is not...
They love them cookies, don't they?
Yeah, they want you to pay.
Oh, of course they do.
For their propaganda. It's kind of interesting model there. You have to
pay to get brainwashed.
Yeah, that's a little strange.
That's how I feel about regular network TV. I feel like I'm paying all this money to get brainwashed by their commercials and their advertisements that I just don't even do it anymore. Cut the cord. Well, and I go to see my dad and my parents. They all have just regular TV. So I'll sit and watch regular TV and I get frustrated because of all the damn commercials. I'm like, ugh.
That's what I don't understand. If you're paying for the cable, then why do you have to watch commercials?
Because how do you think that they pay for everything?
Well, you pay for your cable subscription.
Well, yeah, but the networks, how do you think they pay for everything?
With your subscription.
You think it's not enough.
I know.
That's why advertisement exists, unfortunately.
We are, in case you didn't figure it out here, folks, we're stalling as I open this New York Times window article in a private window to circumvent their paywall.
Yeah.
So a little bit of techno wizardry. If you weren't aware of that, you can open any link to a paywalled article in a private window, and then you can view it. So now, through my techno wizardry, we are now looking at an article from the New York Times titled
"Free."
Don't go down the rabbit hole.
Oh, Lord.
It's an opinion article, but it's very interesting, and it's from the New York Times, so it gives you, this goes through lots of editing and editors who have to proofread it. And
should be a lot of...
rubber stamp the message behind the article.
It goes through a few people before it actually gets printed.
Right, so just because it's opinion doesn't mean it's,
fact.
Meaningless.
Yeah.
Critical thinking, as we're taught to do it, isn't helping in the fight against misinformation. There's that buzzword again. That's the buzzword of 2021 right there. Misinformation.
I think it's been the buzzword since 2016.
Well, it's gotten hyped up quite a bit in the last year or so.
Definitely has.
With the coronavirus stuff. For an academic, Michael Caulfield has an odd request. Stop overthinking what you see online. So overthinking is how they're framing it right off the bat. The first sentence, they're calling it overthinking.
Oh.
Mr. Caulfield, a digital literacy expert at Washington State University, Vancouver, knows all too well that at this very moment, more people are fighting for the opportunity to lie to you than at perhaps any other point in human history, which I would say is BS. I think people are always lying to people en masse. Yeah. It's just that there's maybe a little bit more of a possibility to do that right now because you have platforms like Twitter.
There's more opportunity to do
social media.
Yeah.
Which, again, goes directly back. We're not even 2 sentences into this article, and we've already identified the problem here, which is social media. It's not misinformation.
No.
See, it's like when you go to the doctor and you tell him what your symptoms are, and then he treats the symptoms instead of the actual root cause.
Yeah.
That's what's kind of where this is already headed.
A little bit, yeah.
We're looking at the symptoms and trying to treat those, and we're not looking at the root cause.
Well, of course not. Why would you... Well,
why would the New York Times do any kind of critical thinking in an article about critical thinking?
Yeah, right.
See, we're going to go directly against what this article wants us to do, and we're going to critical think the whole way through.
Hell yeah.
So if the thought police smash down our doors, don't be surprised when we get raided.
Okay.
And a guy in riot gear comes in.
Yeah, I'm down. Let's do it.
Did you have something you wanted to add to that? I think I interrupted you at one point there.
Well, I don't even remember what I was going to say. I'm not going to lie.
Okay, moving on to misinformation rides the greased algorithmic rails. Nice wording. Of powerful social media platforms and travels at velocities and in volumes that make it nearly impossible to stop. That's our argument. So, okay, I'm liking where this is going.
Okay.
That alone makes information warfare an unfair fight for the average internet user. But Mr. Caulfield argues that the deck is stacked even further against us. So I want to address kind of the implication of that last sentence. That alone makes information warfare an unfair fight for the average internet user.
That's not true.
Well, it is true, I think, to a large degree. But the point that I want to make is that it implies that everyone must participate in this quote unquote information war. Like you can't opt out.
There's no signing a waiver that says I'm exempt.
It's kind of like everyone is just being victimized by this system. That's kind of how they're framing it.
Yeah.
That alone makes information warfare an unfair fight for the average internet user. Maybe the average internet user isn't consuming political or cultural information online.
Yeah, or maybe the average internet user is like 70 to 80 years old and doesn't know how anything works.
Oh man, those are the worst.
Oh, I know.
No offense to any of our older viewers, but I've been dealing with the boomers on my latest video debunking Mike Lindell's hacking, and my God.
Oh, it's all boomers that are mad?
I might be turning towards the misinformation gulags.
Oh.
That's how bad the people are commenting on that. It's, stalking horse, don't be late next time, okay?
Yeah. You can't be late, Stalking Horse. You're a moderator.
What's up, Dari?
Need you to watch us.
Dari says he just came back from the rabbit hole.
It's not
I'm
a
glad
nice
you
place.
survived.
Yeah, good. We like you. We want you to come out of that rabbit hole.
Also sounds like another a tech wizardry tip. If you use the archive version of the article, then you don't give them any ad revenue.
Oh,
that's the next level, techno wizardry. If you want to do that, if you want to read a New York Times article or Washington Post, you can use the web archive version, and they don't get any ad revenue.
Hell yeah! Don't give them your money.
They don't get my 3 cents.
Yeah, don't give them a penny.
So we've already, this is kind of already going in the wrong direction as far as I'm concerned. But let's continue on and see what they have to say.
Let's do it.
Mr. Caulfield argues that the deck is stacked even further against us. That the way we're taught from a young age to evaluate and think critically about information is fundamentally flawed and out of step with the chaos of the current internet. Now, I didn't pre-read this article all the way through, so I'm not stopping at every one of these sentences because I plan to stop, but I'm literally just on the fly reacting to this. I have to stop on this sentence again. Mr. Caulfield argues that the deck is stacked even further against us, that the way we're taught from a young age to evaluate and think critically about information is fundamentally flawed. Question, how are we taught to think critically from a young age? We're not taught it in schools.
Not taught it from our parents.
Our parents definitely don't teach us.
Grandparents.
The parents can't even critically
Yeah, and grandparents are dying left and right, so they're not teaching their grandkids to critically think.
So what does that even mean? We're taught from a young age to evaluate and think critically about information? No, the problem is that we're not taught to evaluate information from a young age. We're not taught. There's no critical thinking class in school. Does anybody in chat tell me in chat if anybody had a critical thinking course anywhere through elementary, high school, or whatever you call it in your country, or college. Some people call it primary school.
Primary school, yeah. I have a few European friends that.
I've never heard of anything like that in America. There's no critical thinking classes.
I mean,
but there are gender studies classes.
They used to. Well, back when I was in high school, in my history class, my U.S. history teacher taught us how to critically think and analyze information, and how to kind of deep dive into historical events and do the who, what, when, where, why. And just kind of come up with our own understanding of what happened, but it wasn't a whole course on how to do it. So.
Jeff says he has. What's up, Jeff? Welcome to the chat. I saw an article about you today, by the way, on KCRA.
Oh,
yeah.
They doxing him a little?
No, it's about him getting thrown out of the Republican meeting. So.
Oh, good job, Jeff.
So he says he took a critical thinking class, but no critical thinking in the lower grades. College, yes, says Dari. So okay. Commander also says he has one in college. Okay. All right.
College. So, I would assume in college would be the time to start learning those things.
But that still proves my point is that's not young. When you're in college, you're already an adult.
Yeah, you're an adult.
You're pretty much the pattern, the way you think is already set in stone for the most part. There's not really much movement between 18 and 25. Yeah. Which is the final stages of your brain, finishing up.
Yeah, your frontal lobe is finally all the way formed by what is it 21, 22, so that's your critical thinking and your decision-making part of your brain.
Okay, let me know if this even makes sense. He says that we're taught that in order to protect ourselves from bad information, we need to deeply engage with the stuff that washes up in front of us. So he says we're taught that in order to protect ourselves, we need to deeply engage with the stuff that washes up in front of us? Who taught that?
I didn't learn that.
I don't know. I've never even heard that before. To me, I think the default position and maybe I'll get into this a little bit more at the end when I wrap up kind of my summary on this article, my thoughts on critical thinking in general. Everything you read should have no impact on you.
Yeah.
By default, nothing you engage deeply, nothing at all. But this guy's implying it's the exact opposite. I don't know where.
He's just saying, like, whatever falls in front of you, you need to react to it.
Well, in order to protect yourself better, we need to deeply engage with the stuff that washes up. Yeah, no, that's kind of what he's implying. I don't understand.
He's implying, like, whatever washes in front of you, you have to engage and you have to, just understand it or whatever. It's like, do I really?
No, yeah. No. I would say that if you do that, if you engage in that behavior, deeply engaging with stuff, everything that washes up in front of you, I would say that's a sign of mental illness.
A little bit, yeah.
That's kind of obsessive compulsive.
It's a very obsessive.
Okay, we're continuing on. He says he suggests that the dominant mode of media literacy is that you'll get imperfect information and then use reasoning to fix that somehow. But in reality, that strategy can completely backfire. In other words, resist the lure of rabbit holes, in part by reimagining media literacy for the internet hellscape we occupy.
I feel like this is all just geared towards, like, the QAnon people.
Well, that's all they have to write about. I mean, come on. Trump's out of office, so what else do they have to write about? Trump supporters, obviously. And we're operating within the 9/11 playbook here. Okay, we're already on, like, page 4 of the 9/11 playbook.
Yep.
Then that part of that whole plan and process is to demonize and focus your attention on the terrorists, which in this case is the Trump supporters.
Oh yeah.
The QAnon people and
all the QAnon shaman, lock him up.
Common sense isn't common. Yes, no, definitely.
Oh, of course not. I learned that working at a water park.
It's often man. Well, people that don't know how to swim just jumping into the water or what?
No, it's on some of the rides, some of the slides we had, you get a tube. And on the tube, it says front, back.
Oh.
And they would always put it in the wrong way and then try to hop in. And I'm like, no, hold on. Let me flip it real quick. You'd think that, like, it's labeled front, back. And it'll also have, like, diagrams on, like, how to properly sit in the tube. And people are still, like, properly do not sit in the tube. It's, And you think, like...
Not shocking.
It's not shocking. And you think that there's, like, a bunch
Well, come on. I've definitely done that myself at least a few times because when I'm at a water park, I'm definitely blasted.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm just throwing the tube in there. I don't care.
When it's a kid, I forgive because I'm like, kids are dumb. But when it's an adult, I'm like...
No. Adults are probably drunk too. So
the water park I worked at...
That's all you do is basically drunk patrol.
The water park I worked at, they didn't have booze in the park. So there was
lame.
no... Well,
was it like a Mormon water park or something?
No, they just bring... It's supposed to be for kids, Jeremy.
Oh, that's right.
It's supposed to be for tiny humans.
Anyway, he says it's often counterproductive to engage directly with content from an unknown source, and people can be led astray by false information. Influenced by the research of Sam Weinberg, a professor at Stanford, and Sarah McGrew, an assistant professor at the University of Maryland, Mr. Caulfield argued that the best way to learn about source of information is to leave it and look elsewhere, a concept called lateral reading. Okay, now that I would actually agree with. So what you do is, and this is kind of how I digest information, because I digest a lot of information. Have you seen the movie, oh my God, what's the movie called? It's Johnny Five, the robot, Short Circuit.
Yes.
It's about this military robot, and he gets sentient, and then he finds books, and then he reads books in like 2 seconds. And he's like, need more input, because he wants to learn more stuff.
I kind of remember watching that as a kid.
That's pretty much how I consume content, but it doesn't have any emotional impact on me, and I definitely don't do deep searches on stuff. So I'll read an article or a headline, and I'll just store it in the back of my head. That's not gonna affect my viewpoints, my stances, my opinions on anything. I'm just putting it back there, and then when I see a similar article later, it gets put back there again, and then this consensus starts to form in the back of my head of, based on a lot of different sources of what I'm reading,
this is
what may be going on, and I know who's saying what about the article, so I know which way it's going to tend to lean.
Yep.
You know, like right now, for example, just to give you a modern example of this right now, a current example, take the Texas stuff. Everyone's crying about Texas right now. Whose fault is it? Green energy. Democrats versus Republicans.
I know.
Ted Cruz went to Cancun. Who are we going to blame for the power outages? That's kind of what the media battle is right now.
That's what they want us to be mad about.
And you know that everyone on the right is going to be saying green energy
Yeah,
is the
green
devil.
energy's awful.
And everyone on the left is going to say like, oh, bad leadership, infrastructure, the
yeah, look at
Republicans.
Ted Cruz leaving for Cancun when his state is frozen.
Right.
And his people are without power and no running water.
Yeah, so you can take both of those viewpoints and simultaneously store them in the back of your head, but that the angles and where they're coming from, so that there's maybe a half truth in one and half truth in the other. But that's how I think there's we talk about the perfection fallacy, which is what the leftists operate off of to form all their political stances. The idea that you can have a world where there's no cops shooting black people, where there's no poor people, where there's perfect equity, perfect equality.
Yep.
That doesn't really exist. And similar, I think we fall into the same trap with media. We say some people can assume that we will always know the absolute truth of a story, or that even obtaining the absolute truth of any story is possible, which I don't think it is.
I don't think so
I think
either.
that probably 90% of any story you read, and this is important, you guys should remember this, or giving you lessons on how to critical think about the media right now, probably 90% of everything that you read, you will never actually know the 100% truth of it.
Oh, yeah. We can't handle the truth. We really can't.
Well, even if you could locate it or discover it, you probably couldn't handle it. But the thing is, these people, they read a headline on CNN, they don't even read the article, and then they believe it with 100% certainty, as if they're devotees of some religion.
I've had so many family members that trust the media and trust that the media isn't lying to them, and I'm trying to like shake them. It's like, look, the media is just as bad as your next door neighbor giving you information. Like
even worse, probably, because the next door neighbor doesn't have any profit motives to get you to click out of rage or anger.
Yeah, I'd rather just like talk to my neighbors than look at the news anymore.
Were they wearing t-shirts?
Yes, stalking horse. I had some people that would come into my freaking water park. They're not supposed to be wearing denim on the slides. They come in wearing denim shorts and t-shirts, and they like expect me to like let them on my slide.
That's
I'm
awesome.
Like, nope, not gonna happen.
Oh God. So here we go. Okay, we're gonna jump right to the worst example possible in the next article, in the next paragraph here. This is where it's gonna start to get good. For instance, imagine you were to visit Stormfront, a white supremacist message board, to try and understand racist claims in order to debunk them. Quote, even if you see through the horrible rhetoric, at the end of the day, you gave that place however many minutes of your time, Mr. Caulfield said.
Oh, okay.
Even with good intentions, you run the risk of misunderstanding something, because Stormfront users are way better at propaganda than you. Wow. Oh. You won't get less racist reading Stormfront critically. Excuse me, but you might be overloaded by information and overwhelmed.
Wow, so
Jesus
they don't
Christ.
even want you to like know thy enemy.
That's exactly what they're saying. So if you read The Art of War, the most important thing is to understand your enemy, which is why I watch retards on Twitch and YouTube, like Vosh
Mutants.
and Destiny and all those kind of mutants. I consume that stuff because I need to understand
how they think, how they act.
Exactly, everything about them. These people are saying,
they're like, no, don't even give them the time of day.
Yeah, they're saying don't even look into your opposition at all. Wow. Just trust us to give you the information about them. So when we say Stormfront is white supremacist, you don't
believe us when we say it.
Yeah, don't question what that means. Don't question the depths,
don't
the
log
degree.
in and go see it for yourself and see where the white supremacy is.
Right. What it's.
Well, the reason they are doing that because there really is no white supremacy. They just want to have control. They want to like flex that control.
I don't know much about Stormfront, but I don't even think the Stormfront is white supremacist.
I
think they're more of just like a, I don't know.
I don't know what it is either, but I'm just saying like the people that are running these media companies, they'll sit there and say like, don't go on here because of racism. But the minute they don't want you to go on there and like see the racism for yourself because there is none.
Well, or here's an alternative. If let's say there is real racism on there, and let's say that on Stormfront they're saying that white people are genetically superior to blacks.
Yeah.
If you read that
makes you a white supremacist.
No. I'm going. This is way deeper. This is called critical thinking right here. Ready, folks? If you read that, your definition of what white supremacy is going to change. Your conditioning of seeing white supremacy is going to change because up until now, you've never seen it framed in a way that somebody's genetically superior, which is what white supremacy really actually is.
Yes.
What it always used to be.
It used to be,
But they've scope creeped it. They've changed the definition of white supremacy so much. They've made it so broad and generalized that having a working watch is white supremacy.
Yep.
Teaching math is white supremacy.
Being on time.
So
having two parents.
So if you look behind the curtain and you see what actual white supremacy is, you might snap out of it and you might realize, oh Jesus. So if
it's going to be like Dorothy on the Wizard of Oz.
You're telling me you can accurately define the two following things with the same definition: thinking somebody is genetically superior and wanting to exterminate the entire race, and having a working clock. You're going to tell me that you can use the word white supremacy to accurately describe both of those things?
Yeah.
Nope.
That's exactly what I'm...
Doesn't fit that.
That's why I'm saying, like, they don't want you to go on these things and see it for yourself, because it's probably not even there. And they're just lying and trying to just keep the pot stirred.
Well, that's one argument. That's one possibility. But I'm saying it actually is there, and they don't want you to see the real version of white supremacy because then you'll know you've been lied to this entire time about what white supremacy actually is.
Yeah, they want to keep the lie going.
They want to keep the lie going that being on time is white supremacy.
Having
they don't want you to know that
parents.
actually wanting to exterminate blacks is actually white supremacy because you can't define both of those two things with the same word.
They've just broadened the definition.
They're just way too different from each other.
Jeff says that the media... Oh, I think he said earlier that the media, like, did him dirty.
Oh, yeah. No, the media lies about anybody. Mm-hmm. And...
I know Antifa better than they know themselves. Hell yeah.
There you go. That's what you should. Okay, let's continue on here. The goal of disinformation is to capture attention, and critical thinking is deep attention. He wrote in 2018, people learn to think critically by focusing on something and contemplating it deeply. Nobody does that anymore, dude. Come on. Stop pretending like people actually do that anyway. To follow the information's logic and the inconsistencies. That natural human mindset is a liability in an attention economy. I put a long pause in there because I wanted you to feel the impact of what he's saying. The natural human mind is a liability in an attention economy, which is what we're in. So he's just coming out straight out and saying, you know what, the natural way that you think, the way that you were taught, or the way that compare this with how we were talking last week about how kids can't be left to think for themselves. Compare this to the anti-racism and education stuff we've been talking about. It's all in one trajectory, folks. It's all going towards you should not be thinking for yourself. Yeah. You just consume.
Yeah.
We've already got you programmed to be a debt slave and a consumer. All you do is buy stuff all day. You rack up debt, and you buy trinkets off Amazon to make yourself happy. Now we want to extend that slavery to thought. So we want to make sure that you're not thinking too hard about what you consume. We want to tell you what to think.
Yeah, because if you think too hard and think too long, then you might think the wrong thoughts, and we don't want that.
Yeah, your natural inclinations to investigate and look for inconsistencies, that's a liability. He says it right here.
It's dangerous.
Right.
Yeah, free thought, what God gave us, is dangerous.
Why is it dangerous? Because they continue on with the article. It says, it allows grifters, conspiracy theorists, trolls, and savvy attention hijackers to take advantage of us and steal our focus. Whenever you give your attention to a bad actor, you allow them to steal your attention from better treatments of an issue and give them the opportunity to warp your perspective.
I agree, and I apply that to a lot of these freaking celebrities out there that post all kinds of nonsense on social media. They don't get flagged, and they don't get slack.
That's true, but also I would have to pause here and insert again. I think that we're thinking past the sale here. The sale that the author of the article is making is that the conduits by which this misinformation and the savvy trolls and the conspiracy theorists operate within is what? Social media.
Yeah.
So the sale that we're foregoing here, we're thinking past the sale. The sale that we're foregoing is that social media is even a good thing.
No, yeah.
Again, we're treating the symptoms with this, and we're not looking at the root cause. The root cause is social media.
Social media is cancer.
Social media is cancer.
Yep.
And this guy wants to treat the symptoms, and I don't think he wants to do that because that's his organic response. I think he wants to do that because it's politically expedient for him.
Yeah.
It's a 1+1 for his side.
Oh, yeah.
To say that, oh, look at all the conservatives and the evil conspiracy theorists over there. they don't want to look at the root cause, which is social media. They just want to look at their political enemy and demonize them even further, which plays again into the 9/11 playbook.
Another political.
Wait, is that the guy? Oh my God, that's the guy.
Oh my God.
Physiotomy check. I need a physiotomy check in chat. Can somebody give me a physiotomy check on this guy?
Oh my God.
Oh my. Okay. Anyway, sorry for those who were just listening. It's just the nerdiest looking guy you've ever seen. He probably 5'3", and he's been bullied his entire life. I
was gonna say he doesn't look like he's in the best shape either.
One way to combat this dynamic is to change how we teach media literacy. Internet users need to learn that our attention is a scarce commodity that is to be spent wisely. That's not going to happen.
I agree with him on that.
Oh, I agree too, but it's not going to happen.
But it's not going to happen because we're all hooked into our phones.
Well, he just doesn't understand how human brains work. Dopamine and circuitry in the brain makes us click that stuff. It's not just the fact that internet users need to learn. No, you can't outlearn your circuitry and the way that your brain is wired. You can't do that. This is the natural. This stuff developed this way for a reason because it's closest suited to how our brain operates.
Yes.
The reward systems, click, you get a like, you get a comment, whatever.
Yep. You like, brings your dopamine up.
Speaking of likes, let's get some engagement on this video, guys. Come on.
Give us the thumbs up. Come on now.
We need at least 10.
Yeah. We got 15 million watching at home, so we need more. We need more thumbs up. Let's do this, folks.
Get it up. Get it up. What's up, Bunny? We got Bunny in chat.
Hell yeah.
I saw my brother in chat too somewhere in there, but we got Rob. We got all right. We got the stadium's filling up.
Yep, fill it up, folks.
I mean, we're slowly making our way through this article, and I like this because we're stopping to point out every single inconsistency and problem with this, using critical thinking as they're telling you not to use critical thinking in this article. That's how we do it here, folks.
Matt, Julia, and Evie asks, "Do I need to have my pants on while watching this?"
That's cut.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
What's up, Cut? Cut, I would say...
it's recommended, but not required.
Yeah, it's not required. Just don't send us pics or it didn't happen, because nobody wants to see that.
Pants are optional. That's right.
Yeah. I mean, if I didn't have to wear pants, I wouldn't, but I have to be in front of y'all.
Just a little teaser for you guys since he's in chat. We might be doing a full feature-length movie this year.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Whoop, whoop.
We've got a lot of stuff in the pipeline. Anyway, just a little... That's all I'm going to give you on that one. In 2016, Mr. Caulfield... Mr. Weinberg, who suggested modeling the process after the way professional fact checkers, fact checkers, assess information. Mr. Caulfield refined the practice into 4 simple principles. So here we go. This is their process for when you think you're confronting misinformation. This is what you should do when you read an article. Number 1 is...
I love instructions.
Stop. Number 2, investigate the source.
Okay.
Number 3, find better coverage.
Okay, so like find another source?
Yeah.
Or find like a different news article?
That's kind of what he's saying. Is find better coverage. But that right there is where this whole thing falls apart. Anyway, number 4 is trace claims, quotes, and media to the original context. Okay, so number 1 and 2, I like. Number 1 and 2, which is stop, and then number 2 is investigate the source. Those are good. Number 3 is where we start to have issues, major problems here. Because it's not how this works. Number 3 says find better coverage. Yeah. So what you're insinuating is that somebody who gets their news from BuzzFeed or Vox or just comes across an article on their Twitter feed, which is a curated list of people that you choose to follow.
Yes.
You have to then stop on your Twitter feed and then close it and then
go to like the other,
and then find a search engine and then type in the subject of the article and then find other
find like a Fox article,
find other media outlets, and
Daily Wire or something.
This is assuming that not only you're going to take the extra work to do that, but that you also, number 2, know who the opposite or quote unquote better coverage is.
Yeah.
What is better coverage? That's a too subjective of a term, because again, the fact that you're following those particular outlets on your Twitter feed in the first place means that you think those are the good coverage. Yeah. So this isn't going to work.
Yeah, that's not a good wordage.
It's a trash strategy, and otherwise, he calls it the SIFT method. Oh yeah.
SIFT.
Stop, investigate, find better coverage, trace claims. Yeah, no, that's...
You're so clever with that.
I would call it the SHIT method.
I kind of agree with that too.
Pants are overrated. There was something weird happening in my...
Anthony says, "Why am I removing my pants right now?"
Luke Thompson says, I'd like some Gina Carano thoughts. Okay. All right. We can throw in some Gina Carano thoughts after this article. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you've got some thoughts.
I kind of do.
I've got a few thoughts as well. Mm-hmm. Where does one get this fact checker job? Asking for friends. So yeah, the fact checker is another. I'm glad you brought that up, Holly, because I wanted to go back to that when they use that term fact checker.
Yes.
And they listen to this sentence again. In 2016, Mr. Caulfield and Mr. Weinberg, who suggested modeling the process after the way professional fact checkers assess information. What the hell is a professional fact checker?
Somebody.
Is that a job title?
I guess.
So here's the problem with professional fact checkers.
Fact checkers
We're already seeing this. We're already seeing this in action with Biden. Mm-hmm. We're seeing. We've had fact checkers, quote unquote, people who and outlets who have fact checked every single little thing that Donald Trump did. Mm-hmm. So. Just to give you an example
put little things on the bottom of his Twitter and be like, this is not right.
Oh, well, my favorite guy to watch for this level of absurdity is David Pakman on YouTube. He's got like 1 million subscribers. He's a lefty, and he just makes a bunch of money off of the anti-Trumpism, which is a great model. He's a very smart guy for doing it. But what he does is he watches Trump's live streams and he says, oh, that's a lie. Oh, that's a lie. That's a lie. And then this is the standard for what a lie is. And this is how absurd this stuff is. He'll say something along the lines of, oh, Trump said it's a beautiful day today, but the almanac says that it's actually 2 degrees below the average temperature for the day, so that's a lie.
Yeah, it's a lie.
That's a lie.
The Weather Channel said that it's going to be raining later, so it's a lie.
That's what they would consider a lie, and so they'll apply that level of scrutiny to something that is being said by their political enemies, but then when Biden says something, and we've already seen this, they'll call it a, what do they call it? Statistical inaccuracy?
Yeah,
like
they
that.
just relabel it.
They don't call it a lie. They just treat it with, white glove, soft feather hands. Like
throw him a nice softball.
That
he like can't hit. He'll get knocked over anyways. And then they'll say, oh, he didn't fall. He took a nap. It's fine.
He took a quick little nap there. Mm-hmm. Actually, you bring up a great point there because now there's even the line is even grayer. Because we've had instances where Biden was giving a speech, and I'm sure all of you guys saw this. If you haven't, you need to look it up. They've been trying to bury this video where Biden's giving a speech about vaccinations, and he says, we're going to have 400 million vaccines available by summer, and then we'll be able to vaccinate 300 Americans.
Mm-hmm. God. What?
Yeah, exactly. No, you didn't hear that wrong. He said we'll have 400
million vaccinations.
Doses, 400 million doses available, and then he said we can vaccinate 300 Americans.
Huh.
Which is, okay, now here's a question for the fact checkers. How would a professional fact checker assess that? A professional fact checker would say, this dude's clearly got dementia, and he can't remember the actual number, but he doesn't want to say that.
No.
So he would have to classify it as a lie, but they don't do that either.
No, why would they?
So it's not a lie. He doesn't have dementia. He just gets a pass on two levels. He gets a pass.
Because he's not Orange Man bad.
Exactly.
He's not Orange
Man.
Man.
So the whole professional fact checker thing is complete BS because it only applies to your political enemies. You're not fact checking your own side. And fact checkers only really exist on the left. Let's be honest. The whole rise of fact checkers came out of the Trump presidency because you had guys like Pakman who were saying that Trump lies Trump said 80 million lies today because he said the weather was nice and it wasn't. That's where the fact checker stuff came from. And that same standard, the same level of scrutiny is absolutely not going to be applied to Biden or anyone on the left.
David H. Can you scroll up for me? He had a really funny point. He said, professional fact checkers are outsourced Filipinos who get paid $3 an hour. True story. But David H., they're going to fact check you on that. So
yeah, I'll have to look into that. Who also controls the narrative depending on the subject? Well, okay, so Dar brings up a good point. He says that if you want to do research, you can't even do that. Because when you go to Google, they bury certain topics.
Yes.
They change the algorithm so that when you autofill, the autofill algorithm. So for those who don't know, autofill means when you go to the Google search, you type in A, it'll autofill like the most likely thing that you want to search for, like automotive parts, for example. If you search for, and there were tons of documented proof of this happening in 2016, if you search for Hillary medical issues, for example,
nowhere,
no results, no autofill, nothing. So you can't even do proper research on it because the research that you would do is biased.
Yeah, they just stop it from showing up in the algorithm altogether.
This guy knows that too, Mr. Caulfield, that this guy right here. Let me scroll up so you can all see his picture again, so you know what we're dealing with here.
This dude.
This nerd. He says, "Oh, just find a better source." Okay, well, let me find a better source by going to Google, typing in this, and then I don't get any results because Google buried the topic.
So I'm just gonna believe what CNN tells me.
The game is rigged against you, folks. And this guy thinks that you, by providing this SIFT method, where you can find out your own, find out what better coverage is, that you're gonna be like, oh yeah, I'm informed now.
Well, and see what he is doing here, his SIFT method is pretty much what I learned in high school about like critical thinking and how to if you have a subject, learn both sides of it and make up your own, analyze and come up with your own conclusion based off of all the facts. But the problem is now with how the internet and all the algorithms work, like you say for Google. Oh, he's drinking some Grey Goose. Shameless
Don't mind me. Continue on.
Back then, when I was in high school, Google wasn't censoring and hiding information like they are now.
Right.
So it was easy for me to learn how to do that because I had the availability. Now kids are being raised in...
No, you know what? It's interesting that you say that. I think probably a lot of people in chat would agree with me on this one. I've had to, because I know that there's stuff out there that I'm not seeing. Like because I do a lot of research for the show. I have to look up articles. I have to see if stuff is BS. There's a lot of articles that don't pass my BS filter.
Of course, yeah.
So I don't talk about it on the show. And I try to figure out what's BS and what's not before we talk about it here. So I'll search for things and I try to find alternative viewpoints. And I know Google isn't showing me the stuff.
Yeah.
Because I know that I would see certain viewpoints based on how I used to see it when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And how an unmoderated, un-algorithm-based filter works. So I have to go to other search engines like DuckDuckGo to get actual results on stuff.
And that's sad that you have to go to a completely different search engine in order to find proper information.
Well, I don't think it's sad at all. I think it's actually a good thing because I'm recognizing that this product no longer fits my needs and I have to.
We got to move on from Google.
But probably 99% of people don't have my level of awareness when it comes to that kind of stuff.
You're
so
right.
they're still using Google thinking that that's actual organic results.
Yeah,
which it absolutely is not.
Well, even so, like when I do a little bit of research for the show, I'll go into like Google News and look at the articles Google News accumulates for me. And even Google News, they take what I looked at in the past and all they do is show me articles that they think I would like. And it's hilarious because I saw an article today when I was looking, and it was like how a woman went from a QAnon follower to an anti-Trumper in less than a month. And I was like,
Jesus.
I was like, wow, she really wasn't in it then. If she only 1 month and she's out.
Yeah, that QAnon, the cult is super hardcore. You can just flip out of it in a month.
Yeah, right.
Kind of a self-defeating article there. But anyway, that's what the New York Times has to say about critical thinking.
NYT.
So that's where this stuff is headed. And this is, just keep in mind, this isn't a one-off article. This is a subdivision of the misinformation campaign, which is a subdivision of the 9/11 playbook, which is demonizing all Trump supporters because they want to storm the Capitol with Viking helmets. That's what this is. Okay, this is, just keep in mind, this is going to be a reoccurring thing that you're going to keep seeing in the next 4 years as they continue to demonize these people and just operate the 9/11 playbook.
Holly Midlife says she says I miss Ask Jeeves.
Oh, yeah, I liked Ask Jeeves.
I liked Ask Jeeves too. I remember when that came out when I was like in elementary school, and I would go into my computer lab and look on Ask Jeeves for stuff.
I use DuckDuckGo now, but I try can we all just agree that Bing is trash?
Oh yeah, I remember when they were trying so hard to get Bing on everybody's browser, and it didn't work. Nobody uses Bing.
Yeah, it's awful.
Who uses Bing? Like I don't.
Nice try, Microsoft.
Yeah.
It's like Internet Explorer. You keep trying to make Internet Explorer work,
but
it's not going to work.
Yeah, it's no.
And then they rebranded the Edge. Ooh, oh, Edge. Wow, it's trendy, cool, new. No, I see what you're trying to do, Microsoft. No.
Don't worry, Jeff. I'm getting off Google. I only go onto Google News to see how stupid the people who write these articles are. So that's really all it is.
If you thought that was bad, we're going full dystopia on you guys tonight. But don't worry, we're going to end on a high note.
We're going full retard?
We're going full retard, as they say.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
I don't mind going full retard.
No, me neither. I don't mind it at all. I'm going to have to... Let me change the window here. We got an article from Forbes.com. That's right, Forbes. You would think this is a reputable source. But the Forbes says you must not do your own research when it comes to science.
Oh, lovely.
You didn't hear that wrong, folks. You must not do your own research.
So we're not supposed to critically think anymore, and we're not supposed to do any kind of research or any kind of mathematics to, about science either.
Nope.
Okay, we're just going to be a bunch of fat lobs that
you
sit on our
literally
couches
just
all day.
sit there and consume information. That's
Yep.
it.
Consume
it. Don't think about it. Just consume it.
Just consume it. That should be a branding for like Nike or something. Instead of just do it, they need to change it to just consume it.
Nice, I like that. Yeah.
I mean, that's essentially what they're doing.
There we go. Don't mind my technical difficulties here as I get this swapped over from the private browsing window to the actual browsing window.
Oh yeah.
Thanks for sticking in there, folks. Mm-hmm. We're getting better and better at stalling out as we do those kind of transitions. So
Holly says, "Stop trying to make being happen."
Yeah, seriously.
It's like, stop trying to make fetch happen.
All right. You must not do your own research when it comes to science from Forbes.com. Oh, 1 of 4 free articles. Thank you, Forbes. I'm going to definitely pay to get misinformed next time.
Yeah.
I'll keep that in mind. From Forbes.
Mm-hmm.
But, research both sides and make up your own mind. It's a simple, straightforward, common sense advice. And when it comes to issues like vaccinations, climate change, and the novel coronavirus, it can be dangerous, destructive, and even deadly.
Oh.
So first sentence in, we've already framed research as dangerous, destructive, and deadly.
They've already hit the emotional blackmail there, right, in that first sentence.
Yes, good point. You're learning. That's the emotional anchor because they're triggering your fear of death on that. Dangerous, destructive, and deadly. Maybe that hits you a little harder than it does me because you're a female, but for me, it doesn't really.
I mean, I don't want anybody to die.
Exactly. That's what they want you
I
to
need
think.
to listen.
Yes. Research. Oh my God. The techniques that most of us use to navigate most of our decisions in life. Gathering information, evaluating it based on what we know, and choosing the course of action. That's called existing. That's what you have to do as an organism, whether you're a trilobite or a lizard or a human being. You have to observe and make decisions based on what you see. But they're saying this. But Forbes is saying that doing that, quote, and I'm reading directly from the article here, can lead to spectacular failures when it comes to a scientific matter.
Okay. I mean, failure is part of learning how to succeed, so I'm all for a little bit of failure.
Well, see, it's a great point you're bringing up because this is the trend. This is playing off of the fallacy of perfection.
The perfection fallacy, yeah.
Again, everything, like I said, guys, nobody else is talking about the fallacy of perfection. I've been talking about it for months here on the channel because it's what all the leftist viewpoints and ideas are based off of. Now here they're using the fallacy of perfection to say that, oh, well, you're not going to get the right answer 100% of the time, so don't do any research.
Yeah, don't even try. Don't even bother doing anything.
Nope, don't.
Just believe what the experts tell you.
We experts, you guys already know our opinion on the experts.
Yeah.
The reason is simple. Most of us, even those of us who are scientists ourselves, lack the relevant scientific expertise needed to adequately evaluate that research on our own.
Oh, okay.
In our own fields, we are aware of the full suite of data, of how those puzzle pieces fit together and what the frontiers of our knowledge is. When a layperson, the dirty peasant, espouses opinions on those matters, dirty peasant wasn't in the article, that was editorialization on my part.
Yeah.
It's immediately clear to us that where the gaps in the understanding are and where they've misled themselves in their reasoning. When they take up the arguments of a contrarian scientist, we recognize that they're overlooking, misinterpreting, or omitting. Unless we start valuing the actual expertise that legitimate experts have spent lifetimes developing, quote, doing our own research could lead to immeasurable, unnecessary suffering.
So they're just basically saying that we're all too stupid to understand what the experts are doing, and so don't fact check the experts. Don't, experts fact check each other. Us citizens don't fact check experts at all.
That's great. That's a great summarization of what they're trying to say here. That's exactly what they're trying to say.
Yeah, you're too dumb to understand it. So even if you have a degree in science and you understand biology and you understand, chemistry, whatever it may be, still trust the experts and don't do your own research.
Now, I have to point out that this article came out last year, and last year we said specifically, because remember now the context of time here in relevance with this article, this came out in 2020 when we saw the rise of the experts. We had the experts, right, coming out everywhere left and right, and then at the end of 2020 we got together and we said, you know what, it's pretty clear at this point that experts don't actually exist, and the people that they call experts are just idiots anyway.
They're just as much of an idiot as me. So
we already know that the experts are just BS. But this is, this is kind of that 2020 trend of saying that trust the experts. If you have any doubts, just look to the experts for their opinion.
Yeah, look to them because they know better.
Yeah, they will interpret the scientific studies for you. You don't have to do your own research.
And they're never, ever, ever biased or have an agenda. Ever.
Right.
There's no agenda when it comes to science anymore.
No, science is totally objective, and it's not a religion at all.
Yeah, not a religion. There's not a belief system behind it or anything. So yeah, forget about it.
We could take a little a detour here and talk about how the left is so anti-science in many different ways. Although they like to claim that the right is anti-science simply because of climate change, which again, I don't think any right-leaning person is actually denying the climate.
I don't know any of them that are like, no, climate change isn't real, or they're just questioning like the validity of it, really.
Right. And first of all, their choice of words in saying that climate deniers, that in and of itself, I've got an issue with that, because I'm not denying that a climate exists. The climate exists.
Yeah, clearly.
They call you a climate denier. I mean, I was outside in a short sleeve shirt for the last 2 weeks while everyone else was getting killed by snowy storms. Climate is a real thing, but yeah, they are so anti-science in many different ways that most people don't actually acknowledge or recognize. Let's talk about the anti-science of the anti-economic science. They're economic science deniers because they don't acknowledge that bringing in cheap labor via immigration is going to lower the wages on average of marginalized communities.
Yeah.
And I use the word marginalized ironically because I don't think that's an actual thing. I'm just using that in their own language because
use their language against
using
them.
their own language against them. Remember that, folks. Use their own language against them. So they're economic science deniers. They're biological science deniers.
Yep.
And we all know exactly how that is. You know, XY chromosomes, and et cetera, et cetera. We could go over 20 different ways that they're anti-science.
Oh, I know. They are science, but they're pro like changing science to fit their agenda.
Well, what we're seeing now, and what this article is alluding to, is the separation of actual science and then the religion of science. So we have to differentiate between science and the scientific method.
Yeah.
The same way we're seeing scope creep with white supremacy, where white supremacy used to mean you want to exterminate an entire race because they're inferior.
And you think that your race is superior just solely based off of your skin color.
Right, and it's in the name, supremacy. Supremacy doesn't mean I like to keep time and I like to keep a schedule. That has nothing to do with supremacy. But the same scope creep that's happening there is now happening with science, because they'll say that, science, the definition of science is changing over time, when really what matters and what we need to keep focus on is the scientific method.
Yeah.
Which is where the conservatives and the right-leaning side of things becomes valid in their examinations of climate change, global warming, because the scientific method says, let's have a theory, place the theory forward, test the theory. Does the theory work? Yes or no? If not, we need to revisit the theory and rework it. That's what science is.
Exactly.
But what science has become is, for these people, the religion, almost like a book, you could say, because the book is made out of studies, studies that they choose.
Yes.
So they
pick doctors and scientists.
They have these studies, and then they say that's science. Well, a study exists for it, so that's science. There's a study that says that cis women don't have an inherent advantage, or cis women aren't inherently disadvantaged to transgender women in sports. Oh. Which we all know is BS.
That's bullcrap.
But if you can get a study to somehow say that, then it's science.
If you can get some tranny out there that agrees and is a scientist and has a PhD next to their name,
if it's science,
then it's valid.
If it's in a study, then you're anti-science if you go against that.
Oh, but my favorite form of science is social science. You know, sociology. Oh my God.
Talk about
that one is like mental gymnastics all the way when it comes to all that crap.
Oh yeah, no, they should join they should sign up for the Olympics, because they are masters of gymnastics.
Mental gymnastics for sure.
Holly says, when I was a kid in the 80s, the world was going to end before 2000 if we didn't start recycling. Yes, that's right. People don't remember the recycling craze. We have a relevant story to that coming up next. Stay tuned.
I feel like every 20 to 30 years, they bring that crap back up. They're like, if you don't do this, this, and this, the world's going to end. Right now, it's if you don't stop driving your gas-powered vehicle, the world's going to end.
Well, see, this is what you don't understand if you've never been taught marketing, is that sense of urgency is probably the best way to sell something.
Oh, I know, yeah.
So sense of urgency.
Sale.
Sense of urgency is, only 10 minutes left to get the deal. Only 5 left.
Those infomercials at 2 a.m.
Sale's going to end. Yeah, oh yeah. We're just selling the...
They're selling the set of knives and they're like, call within the next 10 minutes.
Billy Mays here
with OxyClean. It's like, call within the next 10 minutes to get a good deal on...
Exactly.
Get the best deal on
That's
our OxyClean.
all this is. It's just they're Billy Maysing you on a mass scale by saying you've only got 12 years left. You only got 9 years left. But we'll talk about the next article is about how we've only got 9 years left.
I love how we've turned Billy Mays into a verb.
Dude, I love Billy Mays.
I loved Billy Mays
Rest
too.
Rest in peace, Billy.
R.I.P. Billy. You were a good one.
Okay, so let's see if we got one more juicy article on this topic to go over here. I want to cover this one. So, the reason this can lead to spectacular failures is for the following. From the article from Forbes.com, for those of you who are just joining, we're going over an article from Forbes.com about why you shouldn't do your own research when it comes to science. The reason is simple. Most of us, even those of us who are scientists ourselves, I already went over that part. I was right down here. Let's start with a simple, low-stakes example. Fluoridated drinking water.
Oh, my goodness.
On the one hand, fluoride is a simple ion that shows up in various concentrations, including naturally through calcium fluoride in bodies of water all across the world. When humans ingest too little of it, particularly at a young age, it leads to weakened tooth enamel and greater rise of cavities. When humans ingest too much of it, it leads to tooth discoloration and various severities of dental fluorosis. In extreme cases, significantly too much or too little fluoride can also lead to other problems such as osteoporosis or skeletal fluorosis.
Well, that's why you're not supposed to eat your toothpaste. So,
what, you're not supposed to eat your toothpaste?
Mm-mm.
Oh, shit.
It can also, well, if your toothpaste has fluoride in it, and if you ingest your toothpaste, you can vomit. That's why I use fluoride-free toothpaste.
That's my problem. I've been eating my toothpaste.
Yeah.
In most places in the United States and Canada, our drinking water is fluoridated at a specific level that's safe and effective for humans of all ages. In places like Colorado Springs, significant amounts of fluoride are removed from the water, bringing the levels down to acceptable values. In other places like New York City, fluoride is added to bring up the levels to acceptable values. Controlling the fluoride levels is water-safe and effective public health intervention, reducing dental caries in children by 40% where it is implemented versus places where it isn't implemented.
Well,
and yet there are major cities in the world like Portland or Calgary where public or city council respectively has voted to not add fluoride to the drinking water. Okay, we get the point. So what they're trying to say here is that because there are people out there who say that fluoride in your drinking water is bad, this is a perfect reason why you shouldn't do your own research, because there is a valid reason for fluoride being in the water. So,
well, I mean, yeah, there is a valid reason for fluoride being in the water. I mean, I have family members that work for the what is it? They're the ones. My cousin's husband, he is the one that he cleans the tanks where they store the water and do all that stuff. So I know for a fact here that they do add a little bit of fluoride to the water. I mean,
they add a lot more than fluoride.
Oh yeah.
But I mean,
it turned me gay.
There you go. See, fluoride worked on her.
It did.
Fear of chemicals or affinity for what feels natural was more compelling than dental health of poor children. So they're saying that in this case, this is where doing your own research led to harm.
Oh, okay.
So they're using this as an example to say you shouldn't do your own research, which I think is a fairly good example. You know, there's a lot of information out there about fluoride, and people say that it's bad to consume and whatnot. But
it's bad to consume in high doses in large quantities. But like a little bit in the water ain't gonna kill you, unless you're allergic to fluoride, but I doubt you are.
Right. So again, I would just say in general, what this article is doing, even though they provide what would be a semi-valid example, the fallacy of perfection. Yes, we're not going to get it right every single time when we do our own research, but you're using that to justify that we shouldn't do our own research whatsoever. You're not going to get it 100% correct, so you may as well not do it at all.
Yeah,
That's
they just wanted us to be fat, stupid people that stay in our lazy boys all day. They want us to be like on Wall-E. I'm telling you, man, Wall-E was a nice little window into how they want the future to be.
We've got breaking news from Dari and Chatty said, from Anthony and Chatty says, breaking news: the scientific method is now racist.
Yeah, don't you know?
It's true.
Stalking Horse says, I only drink pure grain alcohol and rainwater. Hell
is
yeah.
Is that from
I don't know.
Parks and Rec?
I don't know. I don't watch that.
I don't know. Let's see. The very strict mining to make the batteries for electric cars that are going to save the world is probably destroying the economy, is I think what Daria was saying, which is true. If you wanted to save the environment, wouldn't the absolute best way be to be returned to anarcho-primitivism? Yes.
Yes.
Probably. Most likely.
Yeah, that's the kind of point that I make to these like leftist losers that want to save the environment. I'm like, so you need to get rid of your iPhone that you have in your pocket. All the clothes that you're wearing, they're probably used. They probably use some kind of synthetic material to create it. So, just stop wearing clothes. Stop having a phone. Don't drive your car.
Do you know how much oil it takes to ship a crate full of shirts from across China to the sea? They kill at least 1,000 whales per run.
Oh, of course.
To buy your $9 T-shirt, you kill 1,000 whales.
Oh yeah, and a $9 T-shirt that cost 1 penny to create.
You're pro whale killer.
Yeah.
How dare you?
Pro whale killer.
You buy products from China. You're pro whale. Whale death.
Well, don't you know China?
Pro whale genocide. That's what you should call it.
It's not like there's tons of them in the oceans.
Well, there's probably not even 1,000 blue whales left anyway. But
get rid of them.
On that topic, great segue. Thank you for that. We've got John Kerry coming in with a hot new update for us. Just in case you haven't been keeping track, it's been 3 years since we had 12 years left to save the environment, and now we have 9 years left. But it's not a joke this time.
It's not a joke? I thought it was a joke.
No, we're dead serious this time because John Kerry says from CBSNews.com, John Kerry says the Earth has 9 years to avert the worst consequences of climate crisis. Quote, there's no faking it on this one.
And my question is, what makes John Kerry expert on this?
There's no faking it on this one, guys. We know that we knew the 12 years was a little weird. It kind of came out of left field. We were looking at the Mayan calendar and stuff, but this time 9 years.
It's no joke.
This is dead serious.
This is real. Like,
it's actually happening in 9 years this time. Oh my god.
Watching in 9 years, they're going to say we have 10 years.
Well, it's just like Holly was saying. In the 80s, they were saying we're all going to be dead by the 2000 if you don't start to recycle. Again, I didn't elaborate enough on this point when you brought it up, but it's all about the marketing. This is what marketing is. You have to have urgency. This is just what marketing looks like on a global scale. Okay, just remember this is akin to a vending machine using like a flashing light as you walk by to get your attention.
Yep.
That's all this is. It's just on a larger scale than that. So don't think any more of it than that, because that's all it is.
That's why all the unhealthy food and all the unhealthy drinks all have really bright labels with cartoon characters on them.
Yeah, because John Kerry says 9 years.
Yeah. Is John Kerry even a representative anymore?
He's the he's the climate czar or whatever.
What?
Somebody. Oh wait, maybe it's in the article. Let's
read the article.
The wild winter weather this week has been called historic and unprecedented. And John Kerry, U.S. Special Presidential Envoy for Climate, there you go, wants to stop it from becoming typical. Yeah.
So why
Well, you didn't know this, but John Kerry in his former life was a climatologist.
Oh, he was?
Scientist. He spent 50 years in Antarctica studying. No, he didn't do anything related to climate.
I was going to say, did he really? Or
he doesn't know shit about climate.
I was going to say, he doesn't seem like he doesn't know anything about climate. Didn't he run against Obama in 2008?
He knows a lot about marketing and propaganda, though.
Yeah.
Which is all you really need to know to get
he is a politician after all.
Exactly. So, quote, obviously, we want to prevent this from becoming the new normal to the degree that we can. So, they're referencing Texas. The entire state getting blown apart by ice.
Oh, yeah.
And he's saying,
this is global warming.
We don't want this to be the new normal. Yeah, they're basically associating it with global warming.
It snows in Texas every once in a while, folks, and they were due for something like that, y'all. Like, come on now.
Y'all. You belong in Texas.
Kind of.
Many people wrongly believe that climate change only relates to temperatures increasing, not decreasing. See, that's why they had to change the terminology from from global warming
to climate change.
Which isn't all completely bullshit because, as the climate changes, there are more severe storms, there are more severe seasons.
Yes.
As things get generally warmer, you can see more severe winters. So it's not completely BS.
Yeah, they're not wrong. There's a few things that they do make good points about.
But you have to acknowledge the marketing in that terminology change. It's not global warming. It's climate change.
Yeah.
And why did they change it to climate change? For exactly this article right here. Because they can say now, guys, it's not just temperature increasing. is temperature decreasing. Carrie said that threatens all weather patterns. I think it's a very appropriate way to think of it, so directly related to the warning, even though your instinct is to say, wait a minute, this is the new ice age. But it's not, Carrie said. It's coming from the global warming, and it threatens all the normal weather patterns. Which, again, is true.
I guess.
But weather and climate are two entirely different things.
Yeah.
And it's, as a human being in a point in time, within our capacity to understand time as it passes, we can't say what something that happens in 3 days or 4 days or 5 days, if that's actually climate or just a pattern of weather. It's because climate means over long periods of time. Weather is
day to day,
hour to hour. We got a massive windstorm here a few weeks back.
Yeah.
Was that related to the climate change? We don't know. There's no way to tell.
Or maybe it's just winter.
At a certain point there was massive volcanoes just spewing toxic gas across the entire planet that caused one of the I think almost all the mass extinctions were due to volcanic activity. Is that weather too, or is that climate, or?
I think that's just Mother Nature doing her job.
Well, that's a whole different topic.
I think that's just Mother Nature.
We can talk about that. Anyway, a little bit of a diversion there, but I wanted to bring that up because the narrative that they're trying to spin is that CO2 is, going to cause a mass extinction and everything. Sometimes it just happens for no reason, guys. Yeah. Sometimes. The planet is warming in large part because of greenhouse gas. Speak of the devil.
Yeah.
That are pumped into the sky from power plants, cars, planes, and industry. Planes that I drive across the country to get to events. It doesn't have that in the article. I just had to editorialize and throw that in again. It even comes from the way we raise and grow our food. America is the second largest emitter behind China of greenhouse gases that are warming at the planet. Oh, well, they let out a little too much information on that one.
I don't think that's true. I'm pretty sure India is right behind China.
Well, I think actually, I was going to say that it's amazing that they even admitted China produces more greenhouse gases, but I think you're right. I think India does produce more, and
they have a lot more pollution in the oceans as well.
Oh, it's just the entire country is like a giant dump. I think.
It is. It's just one giant trash heap that nobody wants to clean up.
That warning is believed to make storms stronger. Okay, so we get the point here. You got 9 years. Oh, here we go. This is where it gets good. Well, the scientists told us 3 years ago we had 12 years to avert the worst consequences of climate crisis. We're now 3 years gone, so we have 9 years left.
Huh.
Thanks, John.
Thanks for math.
That's the level of expertise that you need to be the climate czar.
Yep.
Or whatever John Kerry is. 12 years ago we had 12 years, or 3 years ago we had 12 years left, so now we have 9 years left.
Huh.
Thanks, John.
No S, Sherlock.
But don't worry about it because we just rejoined the Paris Climate Accord. So the day's been saved.
So we joined the Paris Climate Accord. Did China join the Paris Climate Accord too?
I don't think so.
Probably not.
I don't think China cares.
They don't.
China's just pumping out factories and new cities left and right.
Oh yeah, dumping our garbage in the oceans. Hell yeah.
That's where the Paris Climate Accord, a climate treaty dedicated to lowering greenhouse gas emissions in more than 180 countries around the world, comes in.
Oh my God.
It was named after the City of Light, where it was agreed to back in 2015, but the pledges made then by nearly every country on Earth to cut their planet warming emissions will no longer cut it. What a surprise.
Yeah.
Scope creep yet again. No, we thought we were doing enough, but it really wasn't enough.
Yeah, people wanted to sign it, but then once they realized that they had to pay even more money to some stupid organization run by the what's it called, the United Nations, and then also too the biggest polluter doesn't have to sign the Paris Climate Accord. I don't blame people for not wanting to sign it and not wanting to join, because it's stupid.
Well, it doesn't make any sense, because the Paris Climate Accord is basically just us giving money to other countries. It's not strict obligations on the other countries to reduce their emissions.
So why are we giving money to other countries to reduce their...
because it helps us feel good.
Yeah, I guess.
Trump said it was bad. So when we're in, it's a good thing.
Okay.
That's literally the degree of the analysis that happens.
That makes total sense.
If Trump said it's bad, and he got us out, then it's a good thing that we're back in.
Totally.
That's really it. That's the extent of the analysis that they do. Yeah, guys. So what are you guys going to do with your 9 years?
Go buck wild.
Climate guru Carrie.
Hell yeah.
He has plenty of degrees to tell us about climate. China joined, but it's non-binding, and their standards were supposed to be met much later. There you go.
Holly says, China has cultural differences. We must respect that.
Yeah.
Totally.
What if their culture is to produce mass amounts of CO2?
I guess we have to respect that.
I think we should.
Yeah, but can't we say the same for us?
How am I supposed to get cheap products otherwise?
Yeah.
Doesn't excessive CO2 also foster plant growth? Shane, don't talk about that. That's forbidden speech. Okay, stop doing your own research.
Yeah.
Stop thinking for yourself.
Don't think for yourself, as they don't want you to.
Don't research how much the forests have grown in the last 10 years. Okay, definitely don't research that. It's just a little hint there, because the forests have grown massively. Eat as much beef before we're forced to eat insects for our protein. David H., great segue into a topic for later tonight, because we're going to be talking about the very man who has purchased most farmland in America and has recently come out to say that we should not be eating beef.
Why not? It's delicious.
Invest in tidal power. That is the solution. Tidal power. So what is the solution? Okay, so we've... oh, man, you know what? We skipped the whole Gina Carano thing. Somebody remind us we got to give our thoughts on Gina Carano after this topic.
Yeah.
Before we segue into the next one. But the Texas thing. We haven't talked about it at all, really.
Okay.
And well, I guess we could use this time now to give our perspectives and opinions on it. So, Arian says invest in tidal power. That is the solution. I think the solution to a situation like Texas, where you have mass power grid failure due to who knows why, because again, if you responsibly consume information, you don't have a conclusion on how that happened yet.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing.
There's several things that were going on.
That's the first thing I'll say about Texas. If you have any kind of hardcore opinions on what actually happened, stances on what happened or who's to blame, you're being brainwashed.
Yeah.
Because I can guarantee you, again, remember, we said 90% of stories you will never know the absolute truth of. So I'm using that approach in this story. We don't know exactly what happened in Texas, but I could provide some suggestions that might prevent something like that from happening in the future. If the problem was that we didn't have enough energy to power the grid, in the case where windmills are freezing, power lines are freezing, whatever it is.
Solar panels are getting covered in snow.
Solar panels aren't working because they're not designed to see snow because they're placed in Texas. Something like nuclear.
I was going to say nuclear is an option.
Be something that would, be a hedge against incidents like this, where you have massive failures in the grid. Because renewable energy, yes, it's great. Yes, tidal power, awesome. Wind power, awesome. Solar, awesome. I just had solar panels delivered today for my tiny house that I'm building. But it doesn't work in all situations.
Yeah.
And you have to have redundancy. And the redundancy is a principle that you should have in place for pretty much any system, but especially the power grid.
Yeah.
And to get maximum redundancy, I think we should focus and get the majority of our power from sources like nuclear, but nuclear is green too. That's the whole irony of the entire situation. Nuclear is the greenest of the green.
It is super green.
No CO2 emission at all.
Zero.
And they have new generations of these reactors that are not only safer, but they're not as big. You don't have to build these stacks.
Yeah, you don't have to have these giant, big eyesores in the middle of wherever you're living.
They're a lot smaller. They have more safety built in. So for some strange reason, everyone on the left, pay attention to the solutions that they offer for Texas when they are fighting the conservatives.
More solar panels.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. They're not going to suggest more nuclear.
Oh, no way, because nuclear is evil to them.
And then you have to ask the question, why aren't they suggesting more nuclear? Because it's probably the greenest form of energy there is. Even if you wanted to go statistically crazy with it, technically, solar and wind cause more deaths than nuclear.
They do.
You could use that argument if they want to go the argument for danger or deaths or whatever it is, because they like to use that with oil. You can bust that one out on them too. But nuclear is probably the greenest that there is.
It is right
now. But they're
now.
not advocating for it, even in a situation where they have Texas that we can see needs additional redundancy.
Arian says wind power is crap. It's not reliable, unlike tidal and solar. Well, even solar is not reliable, because what if the solar panels get covered in snow? What if there's no sun for the solar panels to generate energy?
What if Bill Gates puts a bunch of dust in the atmosphere and blocks the sun out?
Yeah, or
which he's talking about doing, by the way.
And also too, the solar panels, if they malfunction, they secrete all kinds of nasty chemicals nasty chemicals.
They don't want to talk about how much fossil fuels it takes to manufacture
and to transport them.
To manufacture and transport a windmill and solar panels.
And the amount of manpower it takes to put up a windmill.
That as well.
Geez, have you seen a windmill like on a back of a big ass semi truck?
Oh yeah, no, they have to truck them in on gigantic trucks.
And
in like
they're
18
going
different pieces.
They put these wind turbines in like most rural areas. So they're pulling these like wind turbines out in the middle of Timbuktu.
Yep.
So you know that's costing money for gas, labor.
Exactly.
It's people think wind is great. Like, we're not anti-wind power here. We're not anti-solar panel, but I'm not on the boat of we need to just have those two. I think we need to just use all of it. Honestly, we need to use wind.
Oh yeah. And Chad brings up a great point too. Rob B and Mitch, they say that the wind kills lots of birds.
It does.
So
you'll see just bird feathers like that fly into the wind turbines and just get evaporated.
I don't know if my brother's still watching, but my brother had a job monitoring a wind farm for endangered hawks coming into the wind farm area. Mm-hmm. So this is what they don't talk about. There's people who have jobs that watch wind farms with binoculars all day, just looking.
He just looks for birds all day.
You just look for birds because these are endangered hawks, and you have to pay giant fines if you kill them. I mean, these windmills kill thousands and millions of just regular trash birds like doves and stuff every day. Who cares? There's
garbage. Who cares?
Sky rats.
Pigeons. Like, who cares?
Sky rats. But you have hawks and actual cool birds that are coming in, and you have to have a guy watching all the time to hit a shutdown button that stops the windmill from turning.
Wow.
If there's an endangered hawk coming into the area.
So your brother's just sitting there like, hawk.
Yeah, no, that's what he did. That's exactly what he did.
I mean, that's a pretty badass job.
That's a real thing.
Oh,
because those windmills kill so many animals. Now, remember, keep in mind, these are the same people that say go vegan because it's morally superior, right?
Well,
so they want to save the animals, but they also want to chop up millions of birds
with their wind power.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, I'm all for everything. Let's use oil. Let's use natural gas. Let's use wind power. Let's use solar. Let's use nuclear. When we get fusion reactors, like, let's do fusion too.
I've heard some rumblings that fusion is a scam.
It might be, but just looking forward.
It's still a question mark in my head.
It is a question mark.
Nuclear is not a question mark.
No,
nuclear,
it's not.
Especially the next generation of nuclear, vastly superior.
Oh yeah, like whenever I talk about nuclear to people always bring up Chernobyl and Fukushima and all that shit. And I'm like, okay, Chernobyl happened because it was run by, that nuclear power plant was run by communists, and it was run by inefficient communists, and it was an old reactor. And then the Fukushima reactor melted down because they placed that nuclear reactor on an earthquake fault line, and an earthquake actually happened. So of course a meltdown's going to happen when you put it on a piece of land that is not very stable. So
though that was also an older version of the nuclear.
Yeah, and it also
the new ones won't have that problem.
The new tech is like so good.
The Fukushima had. So
the new tech is awesome. It works well. I mean, I think it's France. France is pretty pro-nuclear. Most of their power is generated by nuclear power now.
They have new plants that can even use the waste of other nuclear plants now.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's like even if someone made the waste argument, there's uses for the waste to make these special kinds of rods.
Commander says jettison the nuclear waste into space. Screw it, Futurama style.
We need to have conservative people with their individual technical skills collaborate for peer review of these articles. Well, see, that's the thing. I read a lot of studies myself these days in scientific papers and whatnot, and it's you can find a paper to back up any opinion that you have.
Yeah.
If you want to find a paper that says that biological males have superior upper body strength, readily available. If you want to find a study that says that biological males don't have a sports advantage over women, you can find a scientific study for that. It's all BS now.
Yeah, but nuclear has definitely been bastardized and just categorized as this evil entity that we should never ever explore again.
That's the core point of what I'm saying with this Texas stuff is watch the reaction from the left and watch how the absence of the emphasis on nuclear, which is the safest option, and then you have to ask yourself why they are bringing it up. That's all I'm saying. That's my response to Texas. I mean, stuff that Texas thing is like a once in 40 years type deal.
Yeah, I was gonna say, when was the last time Texas got a snowstorm like that?
You cannot, again, fallacy of perfection. Fallacy of perfection. Oh, your entire state can't hold up to every single weather condition presented.
It's like, well, yeah, do you see how big Texas is? Like,
there's going to be some situations where, hurricanes or crazy random ice storms where our system doesn't hold up. And just because it doesn't hold up 100% of the time doesn't mean there's like some major issues at hand. So again, fallacy of perfection. We can point out the fallacy of perfection in almost everything they try to bring up.
Even when we had that windstorm and that rainstorm a few weeks ago, like my power got knocked out. So like, and I think here our power grid is run by, I believe, natural gas. So, oh my God, is natural gas now not efficient? No, it's stuff happens. You can't control how infrastructure is going to react to weather patterns, especially like weather patterns like it is in Texas, where it very rarely snows, and they very rarely see snowstorms in Texas.
I would end it on this. This is how I'm going to end the whole Texas discussion. Show me a chart, a percentage of time over the last 5 decades that the energy grid has been up versus the time the energy grid has been down. And then you'll see how absurd your complaints are. Because when you realize that it's been up for 99.9% of the time, you'll understand, maybe, if you have the IQ and if you have the consciousness level, you might get triggered into understanding the fallacy of perfection because you think 100% is possible. 100% is not possible. There's going to be freak stuff that happens like this where your energy grid is going to go down.
Yeah.
Period.
Well,
Doesn't matter.
I saw lots of people that were saying the energy grid going down in certain areas in Texas it's due to racism. I'm dead ass serious.
Of course they find a way to blame racism.
Yeah, they blame it.
Wait, so how did they do that? I gotta hear this.
Because
I didn't see that.
Certain parts of Texas where the power grid was lost, or the power was lost for days and days and days, and they didn't.
It was marginalized communities.
It was marginalized communities, minority communities, black and brown people, and then a lot of the areas that still had power were all white communities. So in their mind, for some reason, the energy grid company like shut down the poor people and like kept the rich white people afloat. It's asinine.
It has nothing to do with the fact that the lower income communities are probably running off of older infrastructure. Nothing to do with that.
That haven't been updated in like decades.
Yeah, no.
And then the new area with all the rich white people has like brand spanking new everything.
Right, exactly.
It's racism. It's not the fact that rich white people work harder.
Oh man, that's hilarious.
Oh my God, yeah. I had a friend of mine repost something on Instagram about that, and I read it just because I was curious, even though I knew it was garbage.
See, Dari in chat has to drop the truth. I'm not trying to tell you guys what to think. I'm just telling you how to think, which is why I tell you to look out for why they're not asking about nuclear. But Dari says in chat, it's all about the money.
It is.
Which is what is really going on, because nuclear, they can't. There's no.
Yeah, there's not a huge like way to make profit from nuclear, because you need so much uranium to generate tons of energy. So
yes. Stalking horse, they had blackouts.
Yep, total blackouts.
Oh, that's great.
Oh my goodness, that's hecka funny.
But exactly. Good one. All right, guys, we're about halfway through the show here. We're more than halfway through the show. We're killing it tonight. We're on a roll. If you haven't already, hit the like button. Help us out a little bit here. It's an uphill battle, but if you hit the like button, you might help us out a little bit, get another viewer or two per week. That's what we're trying to do.
Spread the message, y'all.
And we're not here for the fame or the money or anything like that. We're just here to. Because
we want to educate y'all.
It's not even that. I just like talking about this stuff.
Yeah.
I'm critically thinking about this stuff in my head all the time anyway. So if I have
nice to talk about it out loud.
If I have the opportunity to tell one person about it, I get a high sense of satisfaction from that.
I'm in the same boat as you, Jeremy. I spend a lot of time just thinking to myself. And
this is our outlet.
It is our outlet.
To talk to the planet.
To just get these thoughts in my head out, even if they sound stupid.
So thank you guys for listening. And if you appreciate it, hit the like button or dislike if you don't like it, because we definitely are fans of meritocracy.
Hell yeah.
With that said, let's move into a change of topic here.
Okay.
There were some posts floating around Twitter about Coca-Cola.
Okay.
Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola.
I have one in my hand right now.
Coke Zero.
Coca-Cola trying to force employees to complete training, telling them to try to be less white. Did you guys see this one? Oh, this is good.
Yes.
This is good. Okay, so what you're looking at here is a screenshot. For those who are listening, I'm going to read it through for you. We're looking at a PowerPoint akin to, if you have any kind of corporate job or whatever it is, you have to do training courses online, right?
Course,
or whatever it is. Like, hey, this is how you don't sexually harass people. This is how you whatever. That depends on what your job is. This is how you drive a forklift. This one in particular is for Coca-Cola, and the topic of the training is confronting racism with Robin DiAngelo.
Oh, God.
That's right. And so we're looking at a slide here that says, understanding what it means to be white and challenging what it means to be racist.
Okay.
I thought I was just selling sugar drinks.
I thought I was just going to sell, poison to people.
Sir, this is a Wendy's. To be less white, and this is continuing on from their slides. Remember, this is an official training.
Okay.
To be less white is to... There's like 18 bullet points right here.
Be less oppressive.
Again, I have to point out that the people making this don't know the rule of PowerPoints, which for those of you who are making PowerPoints in your professional world, the rule is 6 by 6, okay? 6 lines, maximum 6 words per line. That's the rule. Anything more than that is excessive, sorry, wrong word. To be less white is to, quote, be less oppressive, be less arrogant,
Okay.
be less certain. Being certain is whiteness.
Oh, okay.
Be less defensive. Be less ignorant. Be more humble. Listen. Believe. Break with apathy. That's a strange one. That's to be less white is to break with apathy.
I don't.
I don't know. I don't even know what that means.
I don't even know what that means.
Are they implying that white people are just apathetic? They're just floating through life like, oh, I don't care.
I guess.
And finally, to be less white is to break with white solidarity, which again, big question mark at the end of that one, because what the hell is white solidarity?
Yeah, I have white in me, and I've never heard of white solidarity.
Have you ever done the hand up? It's like for a white solidarity.
No. Do that for Black Lives Matter, though.
The gesture is a little bit different from white supremacy.
That's true. Instead of a fist, it's a hand out. We're not going to do that gesture and get banned.
I'm not going to do that here on the stream, but you know what I'm talking about.
David says, imagine a be less black training. Yeah. If they did a be less black, then that would be something.
What would a be less black training have on the slide? Let's
don't be late.
You said it, not me.
Work hard. Don't complain.
Jesus Christ. So racist.
I know.
Such a racist.
So
No, but it's true because they say being on time is white supremacist. So we can only conclude that the opposite would be black culture, right? Or non-white culture.
Yeah. So
which means being late. So you're not wrong.
Yeah.
You by their own definition of the word.
Yeah, you want to be less black, be on time. Clip that.
I was in a fraternity when in college, and my little brother. When you're in a fraternity, you get a little brother, and you're a little brother of somebody else. My little brother was black.
Oh yeah.
So I had very close relationship with him, and he was openly, he would just admit that, yeah, black people are late all the time. This is what we do.
Hell yeah.
So
I love when they're honest.
I'm not saying that. I'm reporting what a black person told me. Shout out to my little bro.
Hell yeah, little bro.
Continuing on from the PowerPoint, in the U.S. and other Western nations, white people are socialized to feel that they are inherently superior because they are white.
Okay.
What? Research shows that by the age 3 to 4, children understand that it is better to be white. There's that science again. See, they found one bullshit study that backs up their opinion.
They probably did that study that we looked at a few weeks ago.
No, that was probably it.
That was probably it.
That was part of the same exact study. They all referenced the same one.
Because 3 and 4-year-olds understand skin color.
Yeah, right.
Totally.
And finally, the last slide here. The slide just has 5 words on it. And it just says, try to be less white.
Just try to be less white. So, Jeremy, I know you're white right now, but you need to be less white.
All right, hold on. Let me try it.
You need to put some melanin in you right now.
Did it work?
Get that melanin going. No, you're still super white, Jeremy.
Well, see, this is the thing. This is why I wanted to bring this up because, there's 2 points I wanted to make about this. The first one that I'll make is a lot less. It's more succinct. Let me make that one really quickly. Coca-Cola doesn't give a shit about being white. Coca-Cola.
It's just they're on that train of.
No. It's not even that. There's in all these corporations, you have inside these corporations, you have an HR department, and then you have a training department as well.
Yeah.
And I've been in many corporations. Okay, I do consulting cybersecurity for lots of different businesses. I've been in and out of a lot of them, and I've worked in them personally. And you guys have worked in them too, so you know this. The training organizations are always run by women. The HR departments are always dominated
by women.
Who, in both cases, are predominantly graduated from college with some kind of bullshit degree.
Yeah, liberal arts degree.
So you got pumped full of this propaganda, and now you're looking for a way to make use of that bullshit in the professional world, and this is the end result of that.
Just want to keep the bullshit going. Yep.
So
just be less white.
I take a little bit of a different viewpoint on this because of my knowledge of the professional world of enterprise environments. I know that Coca-Cola, the CEO of Coca-Cola didn't see this, and he's like, yeah, this is great.
Yeah, this is great.
No, this is
like, I believe in this 100%.
Some highly neurotic cat ladies in the HR department.
With green hair.
Green hair, short hair cat ladies, or, in the training department. They got...
Who's also a cow. She's got to be a cow.
9 times out of 10. They got a hold of these PowerPoints and they're like, oh, yeah, this is where I get to use my education. This is my degree. I can whiteness and all this other bullshit they're talking about in these PowerPoints. That's how this stuff comes through. So I will continue to chug Coca-Cola because I love Coke Zero. I'm not going to lie. And I don't think this reflects badly on these companies in general because this is the case in every large corporation.
Yeah, I don't think they actually believe this.
Nike marketing department is woke. HR departments in every organization are woke. The training departments are always woke because they're always run by college-educated women who are cat ladies. And that's how this stuff comes to pass. It's not like there's a board meeting where all the leaders of the business come together and say, oh, yeah, well, here at Coke, we think you should try to be less white. No, of course not. That's not how this works.
Yeah, they don't care.
So that's the first point I wanted to make on that. The second point that I wanted to make on this is, I already forgot. What were you saying before I made my first point? Trying.
I don't know.
Damn it! It was so good too.
Brain farts.
See, I elaborated too much on my first point. That's why I was.
Arian says, hate to say it, it's better to be light brown. Sun likes us. We have wrinkles later. Plus, light brown girls are super hot. Sorry, white folk. Sun hates your pale ass.
It's okay.
It's okay.
It's fine. You can have that.
Yeah.
You can have that because I have my own advantages. So, yeah, I'm 6'3".
Yeah, he's gigantic.
So, I got that European Viking blood in me there.
Yep. And in winter, I bet you'll survive just fine.
That's right. Yeah. See, I can handle negative 30 degrees.
Not me. Not my tiny little brown ass. No way.
If you'd be less white, that's cultural appropriation. Damned if you do. Yeah. Try to be less white. Right. So if I'm white, like me, I'm 100% European. If I try to be less white, that would mean I'd have to appropriate someone else's culture.
Oh, well, you don't want to do that because that's white culture. That's white.
But how can I be less white then if I have to gain somebody else's culture to be less white?
I just don't.
Holly's right. It's a tough spot to be in.
I just don't like this whole anti-white thing or European descent. Like, what's wrong with European history? Like, Europe is filled with history, architecture, literature, art.
Oh, thank you. That's exactly the second point that I wanted to bring up. See, I knew you would. This is why we make a good team.
Yeah, we get back there eventually.
So the scope creep again of what whiteness really is. So this is kind of piggybacking off of the white supremacy thing. Whiteness is just a euphemism for European culture.
Yeah.
That's it. We're talking about the culture that built America. Whether that's not subjective. Okay, white Europeans came here, pilgrims, they settled, and then they formed the country.
And then their children and their children's children and the children's children's children.
And the values that they brought on formed this country.
Yes.
So whiteness, when they say try to be less white, that
means
to
be less European.
Try to be less European.
Try to be less colonizer.
Try to be less European, yes, at the root. That's way too deep for even their brains can handle that level of analysis. But let's go up one level even just above that, a little more shallow. What they're saying is try to be less American.
Yeah.
They're trying to destroy American culture.
Of course.
That's what this is.
Because American culture is garbage to these people.
They said it straight out. They said to be white is to work hard, to have a sense of urgency.
To take care of your babies.
To take care of your children, to have a family, to want to eat bland food, even dumb shit like that, which is sometimes you got to work hard and you got to eat bland food, whatever. But the point is, yes, they're attacking Europeans, they're attacking white people who originally formed the country, but they're attacking the country and the principles that formed the country itself. That's what this is.
Yeah.
The principles that formed Coca-Cola, they want you to be not that.
Yeah.
They don't want you to be hardworking, innovative, entrepreneurial, none of that.
One of the companies that most people outside of America look at, and they know that brand, and they know that it's an American brand that helped build America. It's given
Coca-Cola is
Coca-Cola is
arguably one of the most, if not the most American brand
it
of
is.
all time.
It's super American. Like everybody knows.
I mean, look at that logo.
Everybody knows that Coca-Cola comes from America.
Iconic.
But they just want to, like you said, they just want to kind of erase America and American culture.
That's what they do.
Holly says, I was born in England, so I'm pretty much the axis of colonial evil. Yes, you are.
Wow.
Sorry to say, Holly, but you are.
And she's a woman.
Yeah, and you're a woman. Ooh, double whammy.
Woke corporatism is pretty entertaining, yes.
Oh, it is? Yeah, absolutely.
It'd be entertaining if it wasn't taken seriously. See, that's the thing. Now, here's the question. If you're in this training, what do you do? What's your reaction? Let's say, okay, so put yourself in this situation. You're sitting in the classroom in a non-COVID environment, and you're watching some retard give you this presentation.
Oh
say,
my
try
God.
to be less
I
white.
would just have to be like, do the whole.
Do you stay silent and just nod and agree, or
if my job depended on it, then yes.
Okay, well there.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'd walk out and be like, I'm done. I don't want to deal with this anti-white crap. But at the same time, it's just kind of like just how I take everything. Even if you sound stupid, I go, yeah, okay. Well, thank you for sharing, even though it's idiotic, but thank you for sharing and waking me up. I appreciate that. I don't know. I
mean, it's a real world situation. A lot of people are sitting in classrooms right now. Somebody took this screenshot because they were taking this course and they saw this and they're like, what the hell is this? They screenshotted it and they put it on Twitter and now we're looking at it.
Yeah. I mean,
so this is the real world we're talking about
I
here.
probably quit that job, not going to lie.
And, Coca-Cola is a major, huge company with a lot of employees. And, I've worked for several myself and I can tell you that this is working its way even into places where you don't think it would ever make its way into.
The mind virus is infecting everything.
It's getting out there. Well, see, that's the problem. These useless college graduates get out there, and they have to try and justify their existence somehow, and this is how they do it. It's really all this really is, but unfortunately, it is very destructive.
Yep, and it's here, and it's not going anywhere, folks. So get used to it.
What about before I forget again? Oh, David H says, I'm a brown dude. I would feel super embarrassed for white people, but also feel like a pussy because we are all corporate wage slaves who can't say much. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's the dilemma. Like if I had an infinite amount of money and the only reason I had this job was just to fill my time, I would just walk out and be like, no, F this job. It's fine. I'll be okay. But if my entire existence, my livelihood depended on this job and me sitting through this training course and listening to this garbage, yeah, I'll freaking listen and be like, okay, smile and wave, boys. Smile
Here's what
and
I would
wave.
do. Here's what I would do. I would troll the presenter intelligently.
Oh, yeah.
Ask some nice questions because I mean, these people are retarded. It's easy to put them into a mental pretzel.
Yes.
So you can, just ask some basic questions. Like
You'd raise your hand and go, teacher, so I tried to take the lesson that I learned and I tried to be less white last night. Do you think it worked? Did it work? Am I less white now?
I tried to be less white and I ended up getting shot by the police. No, you say something like, you just ask really basic questions that make yourself look stupid because you have to present them from a viewpoint of innocence, right? So it's like, what is whiteness?
Yeah, what is whiteness?
Would be a great question. And then when they inevitably can't answer that question very well, you just ask a follow-up question. Like, what
do you mean by that?
If you go 2 or 3 questions deep, you can just pretzel them out very easily. So that would probably what I would do, just to have a little bit of fun with them.
Yeah, Dari says silence in the corporate world says a lot if you're living it every day. I know a lot of people in the corporate world that understand that this is all garbage, but they just sit through it and just deal for their job. So,
speaking of garbage, Bill Gates drank some water today. I think it was today or maybe yesterday. About he drank some water that was purified out of human feces.
Ugh.
Like they were doing like a wastewater retreatment thing, and he just look at me drinking this glass of water made out of human feces.
Oh no!
That's the only segue that I have into this next article.
If there's one person in the world that I want to drink the water purified with human feces and be the test subject for it, it's that guy and his training wife.
There you go. See, segue successful. We got an article here from mynorthwest.com, some local news station, I believe.
Oh yeah.
that says Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation bankrolls the math is racist lunacy.
Oh, okay.
So if you're curious how these retards get into HR and the training departments,
Bill Gates hires them?
no, they come from colleges that are teaching these programs, and the colleges get their funding, or the public schools get their funding for these programs from guys like Bill Gates. So there you go. We're
lovely.
Slowly answering the question here. This is from yesterday, actually. It's brand spanking new information here. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is bankrolling a group of activists who believe math is racist.
Oh, okay. Right. At least they admit it.
A group of fringe educators have compiled a 6-part toolkit offering an integrated approach to developing an anti-racist math practice. Remember when we talked about that? So we talked about this on the last stream, folks.
Yes,
and
we did.
Now you know where some of that money came from. It chides the concept. Chides. What does that word mean?
Means like scold.
Okay. It chides the concept of mathematics being purely objective as unequivocally false. It argues focusing on the quote right answer to math equations is an example of white supremacy. So yeah, this is exactly what we talked about. We went over the details of this one last week, and you guys may have been wondering, where's this coming from? Now you know. One of the people funding it is old Bill Gates, the same guy who's buying all the farmland in America.
Yes.
Number one farm owner in America. The same guy that wants you to take the vaccinations.
He's getting sued by multiple countries for his botched vaccines and all of the side effects that he's given them.
The same guy that wants you to eat synthetic meat and doesn't want you to eat beef anymore.
Oh,
the same guy that drinks shit water because he wants you to drink it. The toolkit focuses on 2021 progressive buzzword of equity and claims white supremacy and mathematics go hand in hand. So, we know about the toolkit. We went over the toolkit. I want to get down here to where the funding part came in because I wanted you guys to know that I'm not BSing here. It's unclear why the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation are bankrolling this kind of radical nonsense. The Pathways website, which is the place that generated that information that we were talking about, the anti-racism in mathematics, the website thanks the Gates Foundation for their, quote, generous financial support of this project. No other nonprofit is listed for donations, and they do not list the amount donated. But they have been active in promoting similar principles on math. According to the Washington Free Beacon, the Gates Foundation gave nearly $140 million to some of the groups behind Pathway, whose anti-racist resources are the basis for a new teacher training course offered by the Oregon Department of Education. You guys seeing all the dots connect here yet?
A little bit.
Seeing the dots connect? The Gates Foundation also gave tens of millions to the Education Trust, a proponent of the Pathways Toolkit. So we're talking 150 million-ish to spread this propaganda to children in elementary schools.
Yeah.
Defenseless children, by the way.
Yes, they are.
So millions of dollars being implemented against defenseless, innocent children in these schools. And surprisingly, they did not respond to the Free Beacon's request for comment. This is stuff that's already being taught people. So this is, just in case you were wondering, the same guy who wants you to eat bugs and eat synthetic meat, owns all the farmland, wants you to get the vaccinations.
And drink shit water.
Yeah, and do that. He's the one funding, or one of the people funding, this anti-racist education. So you have to ask yourself, when you combine all of those things together, again, we're doing critical thinking here, which is outlawed by New York Times, by the way. This is illegal.
Totally illegal.
What we're doing right now is
illegal.
illegal.
Send in the troopers.
Call the cops. What do all of those individual points lead up to? What is the overarching idea or concept that Bill Gates is trying to implement that fits the puzzle pieces of eating synthetic meat, teaching kids anti-racism education, pumping us full of vaccines that we're not supposed to question? What is the big picture there? That's what I'm wondering, and I don't have an answer.
Globalism.
That's a globalist.
It's globalism.
I mean, that's
channeling my inner Alex Jones.
That's probably true, but in a generic sense, that is what is happening here. But what is I think there's a picture even bigger than that, and that is a big question mark. But the reason I bring that up is because we're offering you guys the ability to think about it. I'm not again, we're not telling you what to think.
Just giving you the information.
We're just saying, isn't this interesting?
Think about it. Think about it. Think out loud like we are, and try to come up with a good idea.
Well, Holly brings up a great point. She says, with all that money, I wonder why he doesn't have a hotter wife.
Because his wife's a tranny, that's why.
Oh, man. Jesus.
Cracking that whip.
A slow, progressive collapse which allows for his control. Okay, so there's a theory by Shayon. Okay, so yeah, he wants to be a megalomaniac. Is that what it is?
I think so.
He wants to rule the world as like a supervillain?
I think so.
Really?
Like Megamind.
So, I mean, is that what happens to nerds when they get bullied their entire life?
Yeah, they want to rule the world.
Imagine being one of the richest men in the world, but you still get made fun of because you have an ugly wife and you're nerdy as hell
and ugly.
And I mean, if you look at his
has no sense of style.
Well, yeah, okay. So getting away from the personal attacks here, just look objectively at his interviews that he gives. Look at his mannerisms and the way that he talks. The way that he has his body language.
Didn't he steal...
Something isn't right there.
Didn't he steal technology, too, in order to start Microsoft?
Well, that's debatable, but yeah.
I mean, steal, quote unquote, but he's just not a very original thinker.
I wouldn't knock him for how he started Microsoft, but I will definitely question his intentions behind, again, whatever is driving him to force us to take the vaccines and not question them, eat the bugs, eat the synthetic meat, drink the shit water, and now take the anti-racism education.
Yeah. There's some kind of, there's an agenda. There's always
some kind of pathology there. There's got to be. And I'm saying, the evidence that I'm presenting to support this is his body language and his behavior in these interviews. Have you seen him when he gives interviews about people ask him why people would question vaccines and stuff like that? And he gets really flustered. And it's not the behavior of someone who you would think has all that money and power would act. You would think he would act with confidence, and stoicism, and professionality, but he loses it.
Yeah,
he really does lose. It's like, I don't understand why they would question taking the vaccine.
He gets frustrated because they're asking him questions that haven't been pre-screened that he can answer. So
I don't even think it's that. I think the questions are pre-screened, but even then, that drives even my point even further, because if the questions are pre-screened and he's still flipping out about them, like, Mr. Bill, why do you think people are questioning taking the? What do you have to say about how the next pandemic might be? He's like, well, this was only the first one. Wait till the next one.
Oh my God.
He literally said in the interview, and you can just watch. I'm just saying, pathologies are really easy to pick out if you watch people's body language and how they behave. Just look at how he does interviews.
Yeah.
Something isn't right there.
I
don't know what it is. I'm not drawing any conclusions. I'm just saying something doesn't look right. But then again, Forbes told me that I'm not supposed to think for myself.
It's true.
And I'm not supposed to do my own research.
In New York Times, too, they say that we can't critically think.
Yeah, maybe I should just discredit everything that's happening inside my natural brain and let somebody else tell me how to think about Bill Gates.
Yeah, maybe.
I'll just do that.
It would be easier.
I'll just wait till CNN tells me what to think about Bill Gates.
Yeah, true. Well, I think you're kind of onto something when you say that he's a megalomaniac. Maybe he was bullied as a kid. I think he was.
Oh, yeah, absolutely was.
I think he was.
No
And
question.
it's usually the bullies that end up being the biggest psychopath. Or not the bullies, the people that get bullied. They end up kind of being really big psychopaths.
Again, you have to do a physiognomy check on Bill Gates. So again, physiognomy means that your outward appearance, your physical appearance, is going to reflect largely, not 100%, but largely reflect your mental state of mind as well.
Yeah.
So if you look like a nerd, you're going to be... That's why you have the stereotypes of, the nerd is more timid and shy. The guy who's jacked is, outward and aggressive and assertive.
Yes.
That's physiognomy. It's a real thing. Some people don't like to acknowledge physiognomy because it works against them. The fat, nerdy, greasy people will say,
it's always the
physiognomy's not
it's always
real.
the cows and the skinny ones that don't like physiognomy.
But in this case, you have to do, again, look at his body language, look how he behaves, look at the physiognomy of the guy. I would guess there's some kind of pathologies there. And what drives somebody with all that money to want to vaccinate the entire world and impose these things on the entire world? I'm just raising some questions for you guys to ask yourselves.
Oh, Arian's educating me. He said, Delaney, Bill Gates, along with Steve Jobs, thieved the idea of GUI from Xerox. Xerox, the dumbest company in history. So like I said, he stole, quote unquote, but
Xerox was
pretty
awful.
He didn't steal it because they didn't patent it or whatever. So he didn't steal, but whatever.
It's the lizard slipping out of his skin suit. See, Holly, that's the exact kind of conspiracy theories that we don't tolerate here.
Yeah.
Okay, because that's not CNN approved.
Yeah, no way.
There's no lizard people.
We can't prove that lizard people exist. So I'd say we permaban Holly. I'm just kidding.
His wife has the jaw of a linebacker.
Because she's a transgender, folks.
Physiognomy. Again.
Or if she's not she might not have been a transgender, when they first got married, but she definitely got swapped out for body double. That's a transgender.
This is why this show is so great, because you have two viewpoints to take from. Here you got Delaney just comes right out and says she's tranny. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, look at the physiognomy. That's all I'm saying.
So yeah, we got logical and then illogical from me. Perfect balance.
Pick your poison.
Whatever side you want to be on, it's fine. But my side's more fun.
The goal, Stalking says, the goal is culling the world population like in Kingman. See, that's where I would tend to agree.
I think so.
I think that if we were to, so again, I don't know what the reason he's doing all this is, but using all the information that I have, using my critical thinking abilities, which is against the law, I can draw likely conclusions. Yeah. I can deduce.
There's likely scenarios that are going to pan out.
Based on what's happening, where we've already seen all these trends, we just went over today articles about how you shouldn't even think for yourself. Mm-hmm. Don't research things for yourself.
Be less white.
Just be a consumer. Be a debt slave.
Yep.
You're literally a cattle in this guy's world where, we already know he's buying up all the farmland. Maybe he's actually going to put people on the pasture.
Maybe.
What if he just puts people on the pasture and just here, eat the grass? He could probably convince people to just live on a pasture and eat grass.
Probably.
And they probably would do it.
All them vegans would love it.
That's a little hyperbolic, but you get the point. Is that the trend is everything seems to be going in one direction, which is making people, American citizens, just debt cattle.
We are debt cattle.
We just consume, and we don't think. We just consume. We get in debt. We pay interest, and then we die.
Oh yeah. Dari says her and Michelle could swap stories. I'm sure her and Michelle Obama, or Big Mike, as I like to call her, pretty sure they could definitely share some stories.
Who made him the vaccination czar? His dad. Oh man, Anthony's going a couple levels deeper on that one. I don't know. I'd have to look into that. How to Lie with Statistics was on his desk. Yeah, Anthony brings up a good point. He was in an interview, and in the video interview, you could see a book on his desk.
How to Lie with Statistics.
And the book title is How to Lie with Statistics. Mm-hmm. So take that for what you will. Again, I'm not giving you any conclusions. You can draw your own.
I've never read that book, but might as well, like we've said, know thy enemy. So if this is something that Bill Gates is reading and has proudly sitting out on his desk, you might want to pick it up and see what the hell he's doing. And from what I've gathered, he's actually implementing what he's learned in that book into real life and into all COVID statistics and everything like that.
I should read that book.
You should.
Find out what's going on there, because I don't know what the book is.
David H says, Big Mama Michelle. She is Big Mama.
All right. So knowing all that, I've plunged you into the toilet of despair hard enough here over the last, show and a half or so with all this stuff. We know where this is going. Now, this next one, I liked it. Good sound effects. This next article that we're going to cover is a totally different change of pace potentially. I'm not going to poison the well and say that it's necessarily a good thing, but I'm going to present this for your consideration.
This idea.
Because I think this is fascinating, and I think there is potential for this to be a very good thing.
I think it could be.
So what we're talking about here is more along the lines of our segment that we do, recurring segment on parallel societies and the failure of modern civilization. Because in America, we can all acknowledge society in and of itself is crumbling. That's kind of the underlying narrative of Texas. Whether you want to have any kind of opinions on green energy or not, there is one underlying truth, that the infrastructure is crumbling.
Oh, yeah.
The infrastructure is terrible.
Our infrastructure is awful around everywhere.
Which is, it's a little ironic listening to leftists complain about how, Texas is failing and that American infrastructure is so weak, but they still tout globalism over, and they still say that America First is a bad policy. And then one of the emphases of America First was rebuilding the infrastructure. But now they're saying America infrastructure is bad. Well, it's weird. I know a guy who had orange skin who was saying that for the last 4 years, but you disagree with him every time.
Yeah, you'd say that he's lying.
Right. But so the point is, America is crumbling, literally, not and figuratively. But our cities are degrading. They're crumbling. People are leaving the cities because they're no longer valid ways to live life. And now we can let's do what I like to call perspective shock.
Okay.
Let's zoom out from America. let's zoom out at the globe, and then we'll spin the globe a little bit, and we'll zoom in on Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
So for this story, we're going to Saudi Arabia.
Hell yeah.
Who is creating an entirely new city from the ground up called the Line.
The Line.
Which is now they're going to use a lot of lingo here that you normally would associate with negative things. I'm going to let you draw your own conclusions.
Okay.
But let's get into it. The NEOM is the
news organization.
No, NEOM is the state. I think it's the state where it's placed in, or maybe the actual city itself. I'm a little confused. I think NEOM, NEOM, as in Mary. The Line, an environmentally friendly, car-free city in Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
So if anything, this will get your brain working. Okay. So I'm not presenting this as a good or bad thing. I'm just presenting this as in the context of cities are crumbling and we need the next evolution of cities.
Okay.
We need a more effective version of these cities.
We need the cities that they promised us in Back to the Future.
Exactly. Will Saudi Arabia deliver?
Maybe.
Saudi
if anybody's going to do it, it's probably them.
The Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman on Sunday announced the launch of The Line in Saudi Arabia's NEOM, an environmentally friendly city that will reimagine and revitalize the future of urban living.
Okay.
According to the NEOM's official website, which we'll take a glance at here in a minute, The Line is described as a, quote, never-before-seen approach to urbanization. It is a 170 kilometer belt of reimagined urban development with multiple hyper-connected communities with natural and walkable spaces.
That's pretty cool.
170 kilometers.
That's what, like, how many miles? And probably like 300. I always just, like, when it comes to kilometers and converting it into miles, I usually just, like...
It's a lot.
It's
bigger than any city.
I usually, like, triple it, I think.
Bigger than any current city. Let's say that, by many orders of magnitude. Quote, we need to transform the concept of a conventional city into that of a futuristic one, the Crown Prince said while announcing the launch of The Line, in all caps.
Okay.
The city's in all caps. That's how you know it's serious, because The Line. The Line!
It's in all caps.
I should pronounce it as if it's in all caps every time. Today, the chairman of the board of directors of NEOM, I present to you The Line.
The Line.
A city of 1 million residents with a length of 170 kilometers that preserves 95% of the nature within NEOM, with 0 cars, 0 streets, and 0 carbon emissions.
Okay.
So those are the buzzwords that I warned you about. Environmentally friendly. The Line will be built around nature as large areas of land will be preserved for conservation, supporting NEOM's environment and heritage. According to the press release, all energy in NEOM will be 100% renewable, including solar, wind, and hydrogen-based power generation.
Okay.
This will ensure, again, I have to note the absence of nuclear.
Well,
but nuclear is not as trendy. It's not as shiny.
Nuclear's been bastardized by the media.
This will ensure clean and pollution-free urban environments. So we got some infographics here. Did you want to say something?
No, I mean, this is just, I think it's a cool idea. So
it sounds cool.
And if anybody's going to be able to pull it off, it'll be Saudi Arabia.
Well, that's so okay. So we have to give some context to the Middle East and what happens when these guys get, crazy dreams with all the money that they have. Are you aware of the world?
The world?
Yeah. It's a series of islands.
Oh, no.
Off of Dubai, the coast of Dubai.
Are those the Sand Islands?
The Sand Islands.
Oh, I didn't know that's what they were called.
It's called the world.
I just knew about the Sand Islands.
It's called the world because they poured sand in the ocean.
To make a whole new island.
To make the shape, multiple islands in the shape of the world.
That's pretty cool.
Well, it's badass.
It's hella badass.
But it kind of failed.
Oh.
So it hasn't really been a success. And we have to take that into consideration when we're looking at these massive, what are considered giga projects. This isn't even a mega project.
It's like a giga.
A mega project would be like the world, pouring sand into the ocean to make islands the shape of the continents, which is what they did. If you don't believe me, Google it or DuckDuckGo it because it's pretty awesome. And then they made one called the Palm, I think, where they made a giant palm tree.
Yeah, it was a giant palm tree. Yeah, I've seen that one.
So these guys got, the bottom line is these guys got a bunch of money, and they're looking for innovative things to do with it. We got to give them credit for that.
Oh, yeah.
At least they're not using the money to, just try to hang all the gays in the world or something like that.
I mean, they do that already, but...
Which is what they would probably want to do.
Well, I just know that these guys got tons of money to blow because my uncle, he went to an indoor ski ramp in the middle of the desert.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
They just got so much money that they have an indoor
ski hill
ramp.
In the middle of a desert where there's no fresh water.
No fresh water, but somehow they can get snow.
Yes, so they can make indoor ski resorts in the middle of the desert. They can make islands shaped like the planet. They can make islands shaped out of palm trees.
Just looking at the skyscrapers in Dubai, man, they're like architecturally like amazing to look at.
Right, they have the tallest skyscraper in the world, the Burj Al Khalifa.
And then also too, Vin Diesel drove he jumped a car from one building to another in Fast and Furious. So
there you go.
There you go.
Some critical, hard-hitting facts right there. But Dubai is not Saudi Arabia, and but the principle is the same. These guys have a lot of money.
Okay, that's what we're trying. So
here's what they want to do.
They're sitting on mountains of money.
100% renewable energy. 170 kilometers is the length of the city, with 1 million people on the 170 kilometers. They say 20 minutes will be the longest journey, time end to end.
Okay.
20 minutes?
Now,
it's a little unclear if they mean to go the entire length of the 170 kilometers.
Yeah, or is it like 20 minutes from your house to wherever you work?
I think they mean the 20 minutes to the maximum place you would want to go.
Okay.
And then they say 95% of nature will be protected. Now, that is the part that I like. Because if you look at, and which we'll look at, actually, you know what? Let's just go right there, right now. We're going to go to their website where they have an actual pictures of where they're going to be building this. It's not the type of environment that you think would be habitable necessarily. Okay. So they have nice...
so it's just like across the whole...
No, it's across the entire country.
That's...
170 kilometers. It's a long way. So it goes across 4 different ecologies. So you got the coastal, and then you've got this coastal desert, which is literally just a barren, sandy, rocky desert. And then you've got the mountains.
Okay.
Home to the Almond Mountain, the region's mountainous landscape.
I love almonds.
And I don't think there's any almonds there. There's not even a tree in the picture. So
dang it.
and then Upper Valley, which looks like just more rocky desert. The point I'm trying to make here is that there doesn't seem to be much nature, quote unquote, there. But no trees, no water, anything like that. So, but they're trying to preserve it, which it's a step in the right direction because what you have right now in a city is complete disconnection from any kind of nature.
Yeah.
Which is not, ironically, not natural.
No, not at all.
Humans need to have, trees, not just concrete and hobos taking dumps on the sidewalk. You got to have some nature.
Wait, there's more to life than watching hobos take dumps on the sidewalk?
And shoot heroin.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. My bad. I've been in the city for too long.
So... so they have answers to the question why.
Okay. Space
to live, work, and create in the same place. Built for people, not cars.
Okay.
Which I think is an innovation. Because right now, everything is based around roads, right? Roads and parking lots and stuff like that.
Being able to get from point A to point B.
So the question you should keep in the back of your head when you're evaluating what I'm telling you right now is, could this be a better version of cities? The answer might be no. The answer might be yes.
Maybe.
They say it's going to be 100% clean energy built around nature, driving diversification. So I like that they use the word diversification and not diversity. So another thing I like about this, and the reason why I like the Saudis doing this, is because they're not as woke. They're not very woke at all, actually.
No, they're very traditional.
I mean, you got to keep in mind in the back of your head, they want money. That's the main.
Oh yeah.
That's the main motivator for this.
They love
and they're
that
doing
money.
it because they're diverse. When they say diversification, they mean diversification off of oil.
Yeah.
They don't mean diversifying black employees and women employees. They mean they're making a lot of money off of oil right now. They know that's not going to be a lasting thing.
So
they want to
move
implement
on to something else.
They want to implement a massive scale project where they can test new types of energy that they can get rich off of.
Hell yeah.
And that's what they're basically doing with this.
I'm all for it, man.
They say they're going to attract investment talent, create 380,000 jobs for the future, contributing 48 billion to the GDP by 2030, which is only 9 years from now.
Okay.
5 minutes to walk to nature. 5 minutes to walk to nature. If you could walk to nature from your house in 5 minutes.
That'd be pretty nice.
See? That'd be pretty nice. Life enhanced by AI. Okay, little question mark on that one.
Yeah, I don't know about the whole AI thing, but
ultra high speed autonomous transportation. Don't you forget about all the evil AI because you got ultra high speed autonomous transportation.
You've got a high speed light rail.
Fulfill all of your daily requirements within a 5-minute walk. See,
that's going to make them fat, isn't it?
I think that's cool.
I think it's cool too, but isn't
you have to walk. So
yeah, you have to walk, but if it's only a 5-minute walk, then...
So here's a diagram of what they plan to do. And if you're thinking, oh yeah, they're gonna make it futuristic, but it just sounds like okay. So you got 3 layers here. They have a diagram, a cross-sectional, if you will, of what the city will look like physically. Okay. On the top layer, they call it the pedestrian layer, which is where you walk and bike, and there's benches and trees, and everything's happy. And then below that, it's called the service layer.
Where all the cars and stuff are.
That's where all the trucks and the cars go to move the goods around and supplies and whatnot.
That's pretty innovative.
And then below that, even further, they have the ultra high speed transit.
Okay, so the tube.
And the freight. So that's where the AI comes in, because all the transport's controlled by AI. And they say next generation freight on the third
Maybe they're
level.
going to have maybe the next generation freight is like this Futurama tube.
Well, that's what they have. It shows a tube right there.
Yeah, I was going to say, that looks like a personal tube.
Ultra high speed transit, that's what that is. So I present this to you because I want to provide what could be a glimpse of hope for the future, because there are innovations happening.
There's little glimmers.
But there are, and this goes exactly in line with what we've been talking about for the last 4 streams or 5 streams, the whole thing really, but really emphasizing in the last few streams, America is not on the top anymore.
Oh, no way.
We have name one innovation in modern living that America has made in the last 10 years. Name one city that's improved its condition. Name any innovations in just general architectural or infrastructural status. We're generally just crumbling with infrastructure. We're not innovating with infrastructure.
Yeah, unfortunately, you're right on that. Back in the day, oh man, America was the innovator of everything. Medical innovation, engineering innovation, we were on top. Now, we're not even up there at all.
I can't even name the last noteworthy structure that was built in America. I mean, that wasn't a baseball stadium or something.
Yeah.
The Hoover Dam.
Yeah, I think the Hoover Dam would probably be the.
I can't even think of anything.
Yeah.
That's not good. That's the point I'm making, is that there are people out there in the world who are making advancements in this kind of stuff. So when you think, man, this city that I live in, right here, right outside my window, that's a giant parking lot.
Yep.
What if that wasn't there because all the parking lots were underground?
That'd be pretty
Would you
sick.
say that'd be an improvement?
That would be a great improvement.
I would say that'd be an amazing improvement. What if I didn't have to listen to any trucks or the vagrants because they could all be underground, doing their heroin underground instead of on the surface level?
Yeah.
Where all the normies are.
Yeah. Or put them in the channel and
white people on the bottom floor. Yeah.
White people on the bottom floor and all the heroin and drug addicts on the bottom floor, and then if they get floored by the high-speed rail, then that's fine with me.
I'm just saying that I think you guys get the point, that infrastructure in America, the advancement is not there, but there are new versions of this stuff happening out there. And yes, a lot of that sounds kooky, the whole green energy stuff, the walk everywhere, the what was the other one they used? Anyway, it's a lot of lingo and jargon that they try to use that's trendy, but you can't deny that there are some great aspects to that. And even if that's a failure overall, that's the nature of evolution. You don't evolve into a perfect organism.
Yeah.
You evolve into something that's adapted in one way better than the previous version, and then that adaptation continues on because it's successful.
Yeah.
So there might be something we learn out of this new city that only lasts 10 years because it's not sustainable, because it's in the middle of the desert.
Yeah.
But it could drive innovation elsewhere.
Anthony says, we got the guns though.
Yeah.
And
don't come to the bottom floor.
Holly says, Vegas, a city in the middle of the desert.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like a big scale version of Vegas, because Vegas has so much money.
Yes.
They can brute force putting a city there, and it'll
sustain it. Yeah.
It'll sustain. Yeah.
Josiah says America is in shambles because it's too busy focusing on LGBT spaghetti people stuff, finding fake racism, and being politically correct. You are 100% correct on that, Josiah. That's why we haven't had as much innovation as we could have had over the last few decades.
Remember what I guess the bigger, if I were to zoom out even further, the bigger point I would make on this, if I were to make a prescriptive point from this, is we need to get back to emphasizing science. So it's a great point that he brings up.
Yeah.
Because if you think about back in the 80s and 90s, not so much in the 90s maybe, but 80s when we were launching rockets and stuff, kids wanted to be astronauts.
Yeah.
They wanted to be
scientists. I wanted to be an astronaut when I was a kid.
You saw this inspiring scientific stuff happening in front of you, and it inspired you to want to become that.
Yes.
Now, nobody's inspired. I mean, we just landed a helicopter on Mars.
Oh.
See? You didn't even know that,
I didn't
because
even know that.
you're too busy inundated with bullshit on Twitter about how Trump did something
How to
3
be
years
less
ago.
white.
How to be less white, stuff like that. It's not the emphasis. It's not what our news media is covering. It's not what the schools are teaching. Schools aren't emphasizing that either, that they're emphasizing the anti-white stuff. They're not emphasizing science. We need to return to that.
Yeah. Commander Osis isn't sold because he's is curious about how do they protect against earthquakes and stuff.
Well, you know what? It's a great question, but I don't doubt their ability to prevent from earthquakes because look at my argument for that would be Japan.
Yes.
Look at Japan. Their entire country is basically a giant fault line, and they figured out a way to make skyscrapers, not as big, but they've adapted to the earthquakes. I think they just had a big one like 2 weeks ago, like a 7.
I saw it was like
6.7.
It was like a 7.0.
And I didn't hear about any deaths.
No.
I didn't hear about any destruction.
It was hilarious because that earthquake was actually in, I believe it was Fukushima, and where the nuclear meltdown happened. So it just like reopened an old wound of destruction, because there were a few buildings that got toppled. I'm pretty sure people got hurt, but it wasn't nearly as bad as it could have been. Said we got NASA, but NASA's run by don't you know, is run by German people who believe their skin color is superior. I'm not even gonna say it.
So it
starts with an N.
So I was watching the launch in the helicopter they landed. I was thinking about this. You know, we can launch a helicopter on Mars with NASA making up like 0.0. Somebody fact check me on this. What is the percentage of national funding that goes to NASA? It's like 0.01%.
It's like less than 1%.
No, it's like a percentage of a percent. It's like 0.01% or something like that. And we can land a helicopter on Mars with that. So imagine if we just upped it to 5%. We'd already be on Mars. We already have cities on Mars. But we're not, because we have to pay for the welfare. We have to pay for the equity programs. We have to pay for all this other bullshit. It's holding us back. And when I talk about, you know, the bigger picture stuff of, you know, if you're on Team Humanity and you want humanity to survive, make it a multiplanetary species, multi-galactic species, whatever, that's the kind of real world implications that we're talking about. We're spending all this time and energy and money on talking, you know, how to be less white when we could be spending the money on scientific advancement, which would better everybody's condition. I mean, just look at Teflon and Velcro, right? We wouldn't have those if we didn't go to space. And we all know that it's a good thing we do, because these retards can't even tie their shoes, so they need Velcro.
Stalking Horse says a city in the desert won't make it without booze, gambling, and prostitution. But somehow the Saudis are doing it okay, so without all that.
You know, I do have to provide a criticism, because I've actually looked into I've looked into moving to Dubai. But what you understand when you look into Dubai is that the city wasn't designed very ergonomically. So it's not very usable. You see these pictures of giant skyscrapers and stuff?
Yeah, it's beautiful, but it's not like...
But what you have literally is a giant... so you got a giant freeway, a surface level freeway, and then you've got the skyscrapers right here.
So they just designed it poorly.
It's not designed very well. Again, it's not ergonomic. It doesn't facilitate the kind of walking traffic that you would see in like an organic type of environment, which the good part about that is that maybe these people designing the line, this new city, learned from that, and they're like, oh, you know, we need to make it more organic. We want people to just walk everywhere, no streets, none of that kind of stuff. Kids these days aspire to be social media stars, not astronauts.
Yeah, they aspire to be TikTokers instead of, you know...
Amtrak gets more than NASA. Is that true, Stalking Horse?
I wouldn't doubt it.
Amtrak is garbage.
But you do realize that they use Amtrak railways to transport a lot of stuff for us.
Oh no,
like the military especially.
Definitely true.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the social media thing is definitely.
That's hindered us a whole heaping lot. Because like you said, kids back in my day, like I wanted to be an astronaut or a geologist or something cool like that. Nowadays, kids are like, I just want to make TikTok videos and dance for money and do all this crap. Like it's
Mars landing is white supremacy.
Totally, absolutely. Sign outside the line says no Irish.
Yeah, Osis, I don't know, man. Underground, I don't know. I'm sure these guys will figure it out. And if they don't, then oh well.
Well, how is Elon Musk building the tunnels under LA?
Well, when you build the tunnels the right way, they're super resistant to. And it depends on what kind of rock you're building it in as well.
Yeah.
So maybe they know something about the rock that we don't.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Saudi has numerous cities in the desert, no biggie at all. It's true. I mean, they've built a lot of big, crazy, unsustainable cities and environments.
Unnecessarily, just to prove how much money they have.
I think it's awesome because
I think it's cool too.
It's exactly what you would expect to see in a super futuristic, dystopian or utopian movie. You have just the brute force of money and engineering, a city where you would never have a city.
Yeah.
Before. I think that's awesome.
I think it's cool too.
I think overall it's a generally positive thing.
I'd be down to visit it and see it once it's developed and created, but I'll probably get stoned while I'm out there. So maybe not.
Just grow your hair out.
Yeah, grow my hair out and wear a dress. Well, actually, I couldn't wear a dress. I'd have to wear a hijab and
I
have to cover myself from head to toe.
Well, we don't even want to talk about how the Middle East and places like Dubai are feeding into the degeneration of women in the West, because I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but a lot of American women get flown out to Dubai or these other rich countries because that's where all the money is.
Yeah.
In kind of like a sugar daddy situation where, for those who don't know, women in America are so degenerate these days that they want the attention of men while also being paid by them. So a man can find a woman online.
Oh, yeah.
This is real.
Oh, I know it's real.
I know you know it's real, and it's more widespread than you think. But there's rich people in Saudi Arabia and Dubai who are paying American women and Western women to come to them, to pay them to do stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course.
And that's very widespread. So when you see random pictures of a chick that you know in Dubai,
yeah, you're just like,
you know what's going on.
There's something else. There's something fishy.
So they're not necessarily as woke as you would think.
No, they're not at all.
They're consuming American women like a product.
Oh, hell yeah. American women are a hot commodity, baby.
No one cares about Mars rover because the guy flying it wasn't BLM. It's funny. Saudis can make it literally rain. I think they were actually talking about that. Yes. Special services. Yes, exactly. It should be. That's a yikes situation for sure. They end up being slaves in Dubai. That's a whole, you're right. Sometimes they get trapped in Dubai, and it's not easy to get out.
Yeah, and so maybe it's not a good idea that I go over there, because they'll try to convert me through.
Well, if you go you can play my wife.
Oh, yeah, there we go. There we go. But we wouldn't be allowed to hold hands or anything. That's fine, though.
Right. No, I think the protocol is that you have to be on a leash.
I don't know if I'm okay with that one, but
I think it'd be worth it just to see the sights.
Yeah, I think so.
Just for a day.
Okay, Jeremy, let's plan our trip to Saudi Arabia.
I'm down.
Let's do it.
Kids used to want to be firefighters and police and astronauts. Now they're demonized, and kids want to go viral doing something lazy.
Absolutely. It's easier.
Well, when you degrade the idea of meritocracy, when you take dumps all over it all day, hypothetically speaking, figuratively speaking, of course you don't want kids to work hard. You want them to find the easy way out.
Oh, yeah.
And then they're bombarded with everything online that says, scientists don't want you to know this one quick trick to getting rich or to getting skinny or to whatever it is. Everyone's looking for a quick fix. They don't want to do the work. You know how much work and pain and suffering it takes to become an astronaut? An immeasurable amount.
Yeah, you can't even smoke menthol cigarettes from what I've heard.
You have to poop in your pants constantly. You have to get in uncomfortable suits and go underwater. You have to suffer high Gs. You have to be very mentally sound, which disqualifies like 99% of people already, because you can't be freaking out when you're in a isolated, trapped. When you're literally trapped in a pod in space, which is what the International Space Station is.
Yep.
It's because the astronauts represent the height of meritocracy, and by default, because we're demonizing meritocracy, we're demonizing achievement, we're demonizing intelligence and hierarchies, we therefore also demonize and will reduce the interest in those professions.
Of course. Well, yeah.
And then we're not going to get to Mars.
No kid ever wants to be a freaking cop or a police officer anymore, or a cop, police officer, firefighter, astronaut. Like, no. Like, it's not cool. It's way cooler and way more lucrative to be a TikTok dancing star. So there you go.
We'll end this on a joke by one of our resident moderators here, Stalking Horse. He says, the Air Force has women flight crews in transport planes. They don't call it the cockpit. It is now the box office.
Hell yeah.
So there you go.
It's a good one.
If you guys enjoyed the topics that we talked about tonight and the overall theme of the show, which is alt-centrism, teaching you how to think and not what to think, not being emotionally involved in topics, then hit the like button, subscribe.
Yep.
You can listen to our podcast on iTunes, Spotify, your big media platform of choice.
All of them.
It's on all there. And we do this every Tuesday and Saturday at 7 p.m. PST.
We're here.
If you want to support us, you have the opportunity to do so on the weeklynarrative.locals.com site, which is a kind of a private social media outlet just for us, where we're not going to get banned.
Yeah.
And if you feel so inclined, you can throw me a few bucks on there because it's kind of like a Patreon alternative. So if you like and you want to perpetuate and spread the ideas of alt-centrism, objectivity, critical thinking, you can do so there.
And if you also want to get access to a after-hour stream that we do here on Saturdays,
Inner Circle.
The Inner Circle, you can join us on Patreon, not Patreon, my bad, on Locals, and get access to that.
That's right, because right after this, as when we end the stream in a couple minutes here, we will be starting up our Inner Circle stream, which happens every Saturday. It's late for some people, but you know what? We stay up and we do an extra. Who knows how long? Sometimes it's 3 hours.
Sometimes it's
talking about whatever you want. It's the uncensored version of the stream because we're not doing it on YouTube, and we can talk about anything.
Yep, we'll talk about whatever. But yeah, join us, guys. It's fun. It's a good time. So if you feel up to it, if you're not too tired, it's only 9:30, almost 9:30 here in California. Just join us. We'd love to hear from y'all.
Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you on Tuesday right here at youtube.com/weeklynarrative.
Bye.
Have a great rest of your weekend, guys.
Night.